Welcome, everybody, to today's session. We are going to be talking about commission conversations after the NAR bombshell, a new game plan for today's market with our host with the most, Coach Darryl Davis.
How you doing?
To get the most from today's session, we want you to take really good notes, and we want you to use that Q&A panel to ask any questions at any time during this session. We are going to be taking those at the end. In fact, I'm sure it'll be a packed Q&A session, so please be patient with us. We'll answer those at the end.
Yep.
If you want to reach us at any time after today's session, you can reach us on all social media channels at Darryl Speaks. Darryl's the author of 3 books, all published by McGraw-Hill Publishers. That first one you see there, How to Become a Power Agent in Real Estate, is actually one of the best-selling books to agents on Amazon. Fancy. Darryl was named as one of the top real estate newsmakers and influencers by Risk Media Magazine for this year, and this is his 4th year in a row.
Yay.
Yay. He's also the recipient of the coveted CSP designation, which is only given to less than 2% of speakers worldwide. Darryl, I know you have a lot to share, so let's get rocking.
All right, very good. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to this session. I know I'm looking at the numbers come in, and there's a lot of people that are just getting in, and I know what that feels like, oh my gosh, it already started. Did I miss anything? So not quite. We're going to get into the meat in just a few minutes. Before I continue, though, I want to address this one question. I know we have some first timers here. So I like to always address this up front, which is the question, is this webinar a sales pitch? No, as this is going to be loaded with content. As a matter of fact, this is something we started years ago for our coaching members. It's a weekly training program where we'll cover certain topics. Obviously, we know what today's topic is. So there's a bunch of our students that are on this call, and then there's a whole bunch of you also that are what we call our guests. So we're really glad that the guests are here. The reason why I'm saying that up front is because as a guest, I just want you to know from time to time, I may have a sidebar conversation with our coaching members to show them something and where it is on the site. So I just want you to be aware of that. Now, I will say that this session is, I'm not worried about time on this session. I have so much to give you. I don't know where the end time is going to land. So if you have to bounce right at the hour mark, I'm just going to let you know about this offer now, which is if you're a guest and you want to get a copy of this recording and you want to get the slides and you want to get these bonuses that you see on the screen right now, and you want to become a power agent and you get to keep all these bonuses, and you can do that just for $10. So at any time, I don't know if we have that offer up on the screen yet, but if it's there, which I think it is, that's how you can do that. But we're going to get right into this. Let me just do a little something here. Okay. This session, because I do these weekly, I just want to put this in its context. These sessions that I do, I'll either go wide on a topic or I'll go super deep. This happens to be a topic that I'm going to go really deep on, that we're just like, I'm not going to get into the full listing appointment. I'm not getting into the full buyer appointment. I'm not getting into prospecting or self-promotion or farming. This topic is deep on this lawsuit and how we can navigate it and become stronger because of it. Now, the disclaimer I have for you is this. First of all, I'm not giving you legal advice. All right. So there's that. The second thing is your broker is the one that's going to drive the bus as to how you're going to reinvent your company and do what you do. Okay. As far as NAR, the MLS is our association. As the smoke clears, they're going to give you more direction and more information. But I will tell you what makes me an authority on this topic. I'll tell you because I know, again, just for the new folks, I am not an economist. I am not an attorney. I don't make predictions about where the market's going. I'm the kind of, I don't focus on building teams even. I'm the guy that you come to if you want to learn what to say, when to say it, and how to say it when you're belly to belly, face to face with a buyer or seller. I'm the listing and selling sales guy. Some people call me a sales coach and a life coach. So there's a little bit of life stuff in there. But my focus is making where the rubber meets the road in you generating more revenue. And because of this legal situation that has happened, we're going to see a lot of changes on our industry, which is going to shape how we talk on a listing appointment. How do we talk to buyers? And that's what I'm going to do with you today. I do want to say, just to also say this for people that need to hear this, okay? Because this is something I've been really studying even before, months before this judgment happened. And my power agents know that I made certain predictions 2 months ago as to what was going to happen. And here we are, that they've come true. So we've been trying to help our students get ahead of this. And in thinking about doing this for you, and by the way, I thank you for your time. I honor your time, and I want to give you the most value I can. I know for some of you, there's like concerns about this, like the sky is falling. So just for those people, and there's some people that, listen, there's some people like, no, this is fine. Business as usual. Don't worry about it. Just stay focused. And I get it. So that's good that you like that, and more power to you. But there are some people that are freaking out. So for the people that are freaking out, I just want to talk to you for 2 minutes. We have our industry has been around. Our collective association, it wasn't always called NAR. Our collective association go back 200 years. But us as an industry, as far as salespeople, goes back even more than 200 years. And here's what I can tell you. We've been around for over 200 years. We're going to be around for another 200 years. And during those years, we've had to adapt. We've had to change. We've had to make changes. And I will tell you, whenever the sky was falling, here's what always happened. We as an industry came out of it stronger. And that's how I see this. I'm actually kind of excited about the future based on this situation. Let me give you some examples of the changes that we went through as an industry. Back in the day, we used to have listings back BC, before computers. We had listings on a piece of paper. It was called a tear sheet. It was just every house had one sheet, the size of a 4x6 index card. There was a picture on the front, and there was some information on the back. Then we had an idea as an industry, instead of doing the tear sheets, let's go to a book. Now, when we went to the book, forget about it. There was so much, the sky was falling because agents were so used to the tear sheet. Does anybody remember the tear sheets? I'm just curious. Let's show our age. Is there anybody on this call that remembers the tear sheet? Please let me know. Or the books, because you're still old if you know either one of those. But when the books came out, these books were printed weekly. They had to be updated. This book over here says 253 pages. I bet you this book was about 400 pages. Every week, a new book had to be published and given to all the real estate offices. And agents freaked out because they loved the tear sheets. It was easy to take on the appointments. You couldn't take the book out of the office because the broker owned it. Oh, my gosh, it was horrible. But you know what? We got past the books. Oh, and then the World Wide Web came. Ming, forget about it. Now we've got listings online, and people, they don't need a realtor because they can get all of it on the screen. It's like the travel agency. How it killed the travel agency. You order your own tickets. It's going to kill them. So we had meetings at the NAR convention about this is proprietary stuff. We shouldn't give it to civilians. And yet we became stronger because of it. Oh, and can we also remember the discount brokers that came out? Some of them are still around, but there was a lot of them that folded up shop, went away. When this happened, we're like, oh my gosh, what is this going to do to our industry? Somebody even said it in the chat. I'm worried about our commissions. You know, what's going to happen to us financially, how we're going to get hit. And a lot of these companies, by the way, where are they? They're gone. There's still some, which is options for consumers. That's a good thing. But do you all remember most recently about this iBuyer thing? Jeez, the iBuyer is coming out like this is the worst thing that happened to homeowners. I am so against the iBuyers. We did training about the iBuyers because all these iBuyers care about is making money on the homeowner's back. They don't give the homeowner the top dollar. They give the homeowner, they talk them down so they can make a profit when they flip the house on them. A lot of those companies are gone. And then who would have thunk with a pandemic? How the hell are we going to show houses when we can't even leave our own house? How am I going to show a house when I got to do 6 feet? What kind of But yet during this time, we actually became stronger. The technology, we had to step up. We had to reinvent ourselves. Here's my point. Every time the sky was falling, here's what happened is we got stronger as an industry. So I want you to keep this in mind, because you have to embrace the breakdown into a breakthrough. You have to embrace, how does a pencil get sharp? A pencil is flat. Through the friction, it becomes sharp. See, when we have friction in our lives, whether it's in our business or our personal life, we become stronger because of it. Breakdowns are not bad as long as you're committed to turning that into a breakthrough. Every breakdown equals a breakthrough, but you have to look for it. You have to cause it. You have to become stronger. And that's what I am committed to doing with you in this series of trainings. Now, let me just put it in its context of what we're talking about here. 3 things I'm going to cover with you. I'm going to get into this boring update on the lawsuit. Now, the good thing is, I'm not sharing my screen. Julie, remind me if I'm ever not looking, I don't share my screen. You think I should. All right.
Okay.
First thing we're going to talk about is the lawsuit. It's boring, the legal things that I'm going to share with you, but I'm going to take some of the things from the lawsuit and I'm going to turn them into teaching moments that maybe you should understand. Maybe we might say it to a homeowner. I'm going to say this later, but let me tell you something. Everybody in the United States, I'm exaggerating, but everybody woke up to this news about the lawsuit and the judgment. And we have to be better prepared now when consumers look at us and what they say to us. I'm sorry to say that what this lawsuit did, when you see the headlines, I'm going to show it to the end. I hope you guys can stay to those people can stay to the very end, because I'm going to show you the headlines that the civilians woke up to today, saying how we colluded, how we hurt homeowners, how we overcharged them. I mean, the headlines, what I care more about is not the 1.7 billion, because it's not my money. The part that I care about is this headlines is giving us a black eye, and we're going to have to work hard at this. So anyway, we're going to talk about the lawsuit, but then I'm going to give you, I'm going to talk to you about the buyer conversation, like how to talk to buyers about the commission. And the other thing is the seller conversation. Now, in me preparing this for you, I woke up at 3 a.m. thinking about this, and I've been keep updating these slides. I just updated this slide at 3 a.m. because I found this in getting ready today. Federal court says floor plans fall under fair use. Now, I wanted to share some good news that I found, which is the floor plans that the architects said that we couldn't use because it was proprietary and it's copyright. The court said, no, realtors can use the floor plans, use it in their marketing. I think this is a good thing because, quite frankly, from a marketing standpoint, those floor plans are very important to us. So I think that was a big thing. Here's a real update real quick about NAR's woes, what's happening. First of all, the lawsuit that we all know about, the Sitza and Burnett lawsuit. We're appealing it. Okay, the moral antitrust, that one's starting in the first quarter. The Federal Trade Commission has an antitrust investigation on NAR about the cooperative compensation rule. Now, that's important because that cooperative compensation rule, also the DOJ, Department of Justice, also is dealing with that on us. And of course, fair housing is always an issue. So I know some of you don't know the cooperative compensation rule, maybe because you're new or whatever, you just don't pay attention to these things. So I'm going to share with you what it is. You know what it is, you just maybe didn't know it's called that. There's one other thing, a new lawsuit, a new lawsuit that we don't have a name for yet. It just got filed. Now listen to me on this. This lawsuit, that's one I'm going to show you, some of you may know, another lawsuit for the exact same stuff was filed yesterday, immediately following the judgment of 1.7 million. So the 1.7 million was, jury said that's what we got to pay. And the same attorney that sued us filed a second one. This guy, he's really trying to clean up. Like 1.7 wasn't enough. So let me show you what that one is. He's now going after Compass, Douglas Elliman, Redfin, and a bunch of others. Did I say million? Somebody just wrote billion. Joe, did I say million? Billion. It's billion. So if I said million, thank you, Joe. It's billion. I can't get it out of my mouth. Billion. It's a ridiculous amount. Thanks, Joe. Here's the results yesterday. The judgment against the defendants for 1.76 billion. That can be as high as 5.28 billion. There's a thing called a Tredge judgment where you can, in this state, you can do 3 times what the jury gave. Judge Stephen Bowe, who is overseeing the suit, still needs to issue the final judgment today. So we still have to pay attention what this judge is going to do, because the judge may actually tell us as an industry, or the people that were involved in the suit, I should say, that, okay, you've got to stop using the cooperation broker rule. So they're still not out of the woods as far as decisions are concerned. The National Association of Realtors, Home Services, they all colluded to inflate or maintain high commission rates through the clear cooperation rule. So here's the part I want you to just get in your head right now. So what this thing was all about was through the cooperation rule that we drove commissions higher on the homeowner's end. So how do we do this? How do we deal with this and still get our commission, but not have it seem like that? That's what I'm going to teach you today. The clear cooperation rule, for those of you who are not familiar, is the rule requires sellers to include a fee offered to the buyer's agent when listing a home. The fee offer is visible to the buyer's agent, but not to the buyer. So let me say it in my layman terms, right? When we would go on a listing appointment, what they were saying is that we forced the homeowner to pay an inflated commission of 5 or 6% because we were paying, because we're going to take that and pay to the buyer. So we were forcing the homeowner to do this. And on top of that, the buyer's agent knew what they were getting paid, but the buyer didn't know what was being done. There was transparency. Okay. In addition, here's what else was said in the lawsuit, that there was a conflict of interest when you or us do both sides of the transaction. They also said that we colluded and maintained this inflated rate. Now, I told you I'm giving you an update on the lawsuit. That's what's happened. I'm going to pull some points from the lawsuit and give you counter arguments, not to relitigate it, but for you to understand, because I don't want you to feel flat-footed or feel like when somebody addresses this with you, whether it's a buyer or seller or a family member or somebody, you have something to communicate back. Because if you hem and haw when somebody says, I heard you as an industry colluded, that hurts us. So what you need to do is, for you and for the industry, no, we didn't collude. You know what? If we colluded, I'll tell you who. If we colluded, then attorneys collude. What do you mean? Let me show you. This is colluding. You know what that is. This is when competing companies get together and say, hey, we're going to charge this amount to everybody, right? So, and if you do it as an industry, meaning that's even worse. That's even worse. NAR, that's what they're saying we did. As an industry, we're going to whack every homeowner the same amount of money. Really? Okay. Well, I went to the New York City Bar Association's website and I looked up about contingency fees. Now, by the way, let's just be clear about contingency fees. You know what those are. That's, instead of paying an attorney an hourly rate. By the way, I love attorneys. I love my attorney. I got a great attorney. But there's a little hypocrisy over here. So so you either pay the attorney an hourly, or if there's some money on the table, right? They get a piece of the action. It's called contingency. You don't pay any fees, I'm going to get a piece. Now, from what I understand, another term for contingency is a commission. You know, like us, like when we help a homeowner get their house for the highest possible price, it's a percentage, it's commission. So attorneys, they work on commission, but they call it contingency. Okay, so when you go to the New York City Bar Association, it explains a contingency fee is one that is paid when a certain event occurs. When a lawyer works on a contingent basis in a personal injury, it goes on. But here's what I want you to read. The ordinary percentage is 33%, but it could be less, or the contingent could be a sliding scale. In some cases, it could be 50. Now, this over here, the New York City Bar Association, putting on their website, the ordinary commission is 33%. How the heck is that not collusion? All right, but I said, but maybe it's just New York because we do things a little different here. Let me go to the National Bar Association, the American Bar Association, sorry. And I looked up their fees. This is on their website. It says, in a contingent fee arrangement, lawyers agree to accept a fixed percentage, often 1/3 to 40. Often 33 to 40%. You know what I would love? I would love, because on this next lawsuit that we got, the one that the new one that they filed, Douglas Elliman, I would love those attorneys to ask that same attorney, ask him, are you getting paid hourly? Are you getting a commission? And could you share with the jury how much yours is? Because I didn't do the math yet. On $1.7 billion, if this guy did a 30%, that's 300. Well, it's going to be somewhere around $500 million that this attorney got. Is that too much? I don't know. It sounds like excessive to me. All right. The last day of the testimony, this guy over here, is this helping any of you, or am I getting too excited here? Because this really riles me up. I've got so much more to go. This guy, last day of the plaintiff, Dr. Craig Shulman, he's an economist, an associate professor for Texas A&M University, testified. Now, I like to just throw a swag at this guy because he's not even a professor. He's an associate professor. And anyway, he argued that the visible conspiracy in the real estate market, pointing out clumping of commissions and a lack of non-NAR competitors. All right, clumping. What the hell is clumping? I had to look up clumping. Never heard of clumping before. Here's a clumping definition. The clumping of a commission that Dr. Shulman refers to is the allegation that commission rates tend to cluster or concentrate around a certain percentage, like 5 or 6. I got to give you that one, Professor, that yes, there's definitely clumping. The plaintiff argues this shows an anti-competitive behavior. Commissions are not varying freely, but are being fixed or stabilized. They claim that the NAR rules contribute to this commission rate of clumping. Now, our guy, Dr. Wu, he did a great job, his testimony across the board. Here's what he said. He disputed this interpretation, arguing that clumping can occur naturally in competitive markets as businesses copy successful practices. He said the clustering alone does not necessarily indicate illegal price fixing or conspiracy. So now, Dr. Wu, let's look what he said. He said that clumping can occur in a competitive markets as businesses copy successful practices. So when I saw that, I started thinking, I live in Wading River. Wading River is like less than 10 square miles. And in that square miles, we have 4 pizzerias. I think is too much for 10 square miles to have 4 pizzerias. But I want you to see something. That wasn't my point. I want you to see over here that the first one says $22. Then there's a regular $20. This other pizzeria, I got $22.80, and then we got this other guy, $19.95. You know what? That looks like clumping to me. There's a range. Here, if you look at franchises, they tell you, every store has to do their own pricing. See, no franchise can say McDonald's franchise. They can't say to all the stores, you all have to charge the same amount for hamburgers and the number 2, but you got to come up with your own prices. But you want to know something? You look at every one of these in a local market, it's clumping. That, of course, is clumping because of what Dr. Wu said. And you know what? Listen, I don't have a chart on this. I have it in one of my other slide decks. Do you know if you looked at our commission rates for the last 30 years, that it has steadily slid down? It looked like a bad stock on the stock market. Going down, not going up. Clumping. Yeah, we clump. They say we tell homeowners that our fees are not negotiable. Now, I wasn't in the courtroom, so I don't know what they were saying. Were they saying as an industry that we were telling people it's not negotiable? Because I don't know where that is. Does an individual agent say to a homeowner that I don't negotiate? Maybe. I know I would, and I don't see anything wrong with that. As a real estate sales professional, that you set your commission that works for you, to leave your house, to leave your family. This is what I'm worth. This is what I do. You know what? I have a fee. I have a speaking fee when people want to hire me to speak. And you know, when people ask me to cut my fee, I go, I'm sorry, I can't. The reason why I can't is because if I do the same gig for you that I did for another client, but I charge you less, I feel like I stole from the other person who paid me a higher. It's an integrity issue. And as a matter of fact, I started thinking, other companies, these other people, they don't, I don't think that they cut their fees, what they charge. I tried asking some of these people, but they don't cut. You know who else doesn't cut? My attorney. They don't cut their fees. They charge what they charge. So I don't see a problem there. Agents are paid too much. All right, let me stick on this. And this is important for you because you need to feel this in your heart right now. This is why I'm teaching. Is this helping any of you? Can you tell me if this is helping me, you please? I got to see if I'm doing okay here.
I'm publishing them. They're coming in hot and heavy. You are on fire, everybody.
All right, okay. I need to know I'm helping you. Listen, I'm going to get to the technique, the listing appointment, and I'm going to get there. I'm not worried about the time. So if you got to go get the $10, get to become power agent, I need to make sure that I give you everything I got because I've been sitting on this for a long time now, and it's got me upset. This one right here, especially. Agents are paid too much. In this court, they were saying that agents are paid too much. You know what I want to be real clear with everybody that's a civilian is that agents are not paid. They earn. Employees are paid, regardless of their performance. Now, an employee's got to have a good performance if they want to keep their job. But the truth of the matter is, an employee, they got a guaranteed check every 2 weeks. They can go up and down. And agents, every morning we wake up, there's nobody paying us anything. Every single dollar that an agent earns, they earn it because of the work that they do. So let's just be clear on that. There's no handouts over here. I said, let me do a little research about what's the current income for an agent right now. U.S. News, they said that the average income or median income is $48,340. I did another one here. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics said the median is $49,980. And we get paid too much? Counselor, the guy that sued us, that guy, the guy on the contingency, the guy that just earned $500 million yesterday. By the way, here's another thing on that. You know how homeowners say that not homeowners, that some people might say that, oh, you're getting thousands of dollars. You only work like a few weeks. You only showed a house once. That seems like a lot. I could say the same thing about this attorney that just got a $500 million payday. He was only in court for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, $500 million? And you say, we get paid too much? Now, the truth is, you and I both know that he spent months building up his case before the 2 weeks, just like we do. There's a lot of behind the scenes that we do. We're supposed to make it look easy. So, I don't ever want to hear we're paid too much. We earn. Second thing, agents receive no health insurance. We work sometimes 3 to 9 months with no income, but yet we have expenses that we got to still pay. Agents don't have consistent income. It goes up and down. We got to learn how to manage our businesses. We got to pay for the marketing expenses. We got to pay for training. Agents got to do marketing. This is number 7. Ming, an agent has got to dip into their money that they feed their family with to market this house. The homeowner doesn't pay for that. We're paying out of our money to do this. And it's only if we get the job done successfully do we get reimbursed. Which, by the way, attorneys, if they charge hourly and they're not successful, guess what? We still pay them. You have an operation, it doesn't go well. Guess what? You still got to pay the hospital bill. We don't succeed. We getting guts. Nothing. Agents spend hours, days, weeks, months with buyers with no guarantee of revenue. And if we did not benefit sellers, in the first place, then every seller would be a FSBO. They wouldn't be listed with realtors. So don't tell me that we are paid too much. We're not, we earn what we do. Now, here's the other thing. During this pandemic, when the pandemic happened, the government said, there's certain people that are essential to the well-being of people's lives. Do you know who wasn't essential? Attorneys. But you know who was essential? Real estate professionals. So don't let this what happened here with this lawsuit shake you in any way. All right? Just know that you earn what you do. You make a difference in the world. Homeowners need you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be around for 200 years. Most houses would be sold privately. They wouldn't be listed with an agent. So don't be shaken in your belief in who you are. Now, listen, power agents, I got to talk to you for a second. I recorded a whole bunch of 30-minute segments on me ranting about this friggin' law case, taking every point. My mother always wanted me to be an attorney. That would have been my second thing if I didn't do this for a living. So I tear the attorneys apart in this thing. We're not going to publish it publicly. It's just for power agents because I say some things that I shouldn't say and get out there publicly. So just for the power agents. Now, Tracy Casper, she's doing a great job stepping in as president, man. Jeez, Marie. She said after the thing yesterday, she said, this matter is not close to being final. We will appeal the liability finding because we stand by the fact that the NAR rules serve the best interests of consumers, support market-driven pricing, and advance business competition. And you know what? I totally agree with her. This is a sin, as my mother would say, this is a sin what happened yesterday. Now, by the way, I want to say something, though, but we're going to become stronger because of it. We are. But I'm going to say something else about this. And so NAR is going to go to appeals. And because of the appeal process, it could take 2-3 years. Who knows? So there's no final thing going to really come out of it. But there might be some changes the judge will say that can't be appealed. But I will tell you this, appeal or no appeal, you're going to see changes in real estate now. We're not waiting for the appeal. And I'm going to tell you some changes have already happened, and I'm going to show you that in just a couple of slides. Home Services America, their rep said today's decision means that buyers will face even more obstacles in an already challenging real estate market, and sellers will have a harder time realizing the value of their homes. It could also force home buyers to forego professional help during what is likely the most complex and consequential financial transaction they'll make in their lifetime. I wish we had the name. I searched for the name of this spokesperson. I couldn't find it because it was so eloquent and so awesome what they said and so right on. And but I wanted to share it with you guys. Okay. So here are the changes that have happened so far that we have to bob and weave with. Okay. This writing is on what I'm showing you, the writing's on the wall. So first of all, Bright MLS, I think it's the second largest MLS in the country. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Let me just tell you, it used to be that the listing agent had to put a selling broker's commission of some amount, even if it was a penny. And what Bright did before the judgment, they said, you know what? A listing agent can offer 0 to selling agents. All right. So that's the writing on the wall that it looks like that what we're going to see happen nationally in every MLS and every association, that the selling agent will get 0 on the MLS. But I'm going to tell you how we're going to fix that. So I'm just kind of updating all of you because we've had over 3,000 people reserved for this training. So I want to make sure I get as much communicated as I can for you guys. Anywhere, for those of you who don't know, this is the umbrella company that Century 21, Cole, ERA, So Anywhere and Remax, they both settled before the judgment, and they did not admit any wrongdoing. So some people thought that they bowed out too quick. They should have done the good fight. And now some people are saying, geez, they got out right in the nick of time. So here's what they agreed to. They will prohibit company-owned brokerages and their affiliates from claiming buyer agent services are free. So telling a buyer saying, hey, you're not paying anything, my services are free because it's built into the price. So we can't say that anymore with this settlement. And probably everybody's going to follow very similar to this. We'll prohibit company-owned brokerages and their affiliates from using any tech to sort listings by compensation. The reason why is because that was part of the lawsuit, because when we put the selling brokers commission out there, that they argued that a buyer's agent would be more like to show a 3% selling brokers commission, and one that was 1% wouldn't show it to the buyer. We know we don't do that, but that was part of their argument. Anywhere will not require the company-owned franchise, whatever, to join MLS. That's a typo. It's not just Anywhere, Remax. They both have these all in common. So now Remax and Anywhere is saying that brokers and agents do not have to be members of NAR, do not have to subscribe to the Code of Ethics, or even abide by the MLS rules. That could get a little messy. Also, again, another typo. It says Anywhere. It's both Anywhere, Remax. Wants to make sure that we tell people that the commission is not set by law and it's fully negotiable. I'm getting ready to get to the conversation on the listing appointment. Here's the last part of what I want to say about the lawsuit, is that the Real Estate Board of New York, let me just, for those of you who don't know, the Real Estate Board of New York is in the tri-state area, and they're not part of NAR. But they like, it looks like it could be that. So I just want people to get that kind of understand that this is a board of salespeople and brokers, and they just made a change to their rules. And here's the rule that they changed. They went really strong. The board says from now on, I don't have it printed there. Okay, so here's the change. I'll just tell you the change, that the listing agent will absolutely never pay the selling agent anymore. So with this board, they're saying from now on, the buyer's agent is not getting paid from the listing agent, period. Okay. So how does the buyer's agent get paid? This is what we're going to talk about in this next segment. Okay. The first thing we're going to talk about is now this. So we talked about the update on the lawsuit. Now, let's talk about the listing appointment. Not the entire appointment, but just how we're going to have this commission conversation. What I'm going to share with you, here's a case study from one of our agents, Maggie Evans. She said, it was my first year in real estate, and because of Darryl's training, I generated 36 listings, 14 sales. This program is a must. And part of it is, for Maggie, is what I'm going to share with you now, okay? So one of the things that we have to do when you go on a listing appointment, especially in this new reality, is you've got to focus on communicating and validating the real estate industry, because we have this black eye. Now, this was true even before this black eye, but now it's even more imperative. That I want you to hear what I'm saying, gang. If you go on, first of all, let me just give you this background on me. When I was listing and selling in Long Island, New York, how I built I averaged 6 transactions a month, and how I built my business was FSBOs and expireds, which is the hardest, as you know, to get. But that's what I did. And so when I went into listing appointments, there wasn't a listening for, oh, I need you. I'm so glad you're here. I was talking into, I don't need you. You cost too much, et cetera, et cetera. So if you go on a listing appointment talking about you or your company and how great your marketing is, I know you think that maybe you're trying to show the homeowner how they'll benefit from hiring you. But what it sounds like to the homeowner is very self-serving, and that you're selling them on you. So what you need to do before you talk about any of that, because you will, they need to first buy into the value of realtor. They have to see that listing with a realtor, any realtor or any agent, is better than doing it on their own. So the first part of your conversation has to be validating realtor. And I'm going to show you some of this. Now, Power Agents, I did a whole training. This is one of the deep seminars on the whole listing appointment. From the moment you ring the doorbell to the moment that they sign the listing with you, how to talk about MLS, yard sign, lockbox, feature sheet. So all of that skill about how we do what we do and how valuable we are as a real estate industry, that you have that training. I'm going to show just some of the pieces right now for everybody. NAR did a study in 2021 that said there are 2 reasons why homeowners should consider hiring. Only 7% of FSBOs sold last year, meaning 93%. The other ones were realtors. And the average sales price for the realtor price was $318, whereas the FSBO was $260. So if you do the math, that means that realtors sell homeowners' homes for 2.24% higher than the for sale by owner. Let me show you another one. I always use this one. My students have seen me use this to nauseam because I love this one. This USA Today article, let me just set it up. This article came out during the hot, if you look at real estate prices, there were 2 hot times when prices went up crazy. The first was the pandemic, the last couple of years. And the second one was in 2003, 2004, 2005. Like prices were going up crazy. So in those markets, you tell a homeowner, you need to list with a realtor. No, because this market is so hot. I don't need a realtor. I can go Home Depot and get a for sale sign, tie it around my kid's neck, and have them walk in front of the house. I'll have it sold before I got to call them in for dinner. So that was a hard market. But USA Today comes out with this. It was hard for the real estate professional. For sale by owners can be a hard sell. Agents often worth their weight in commission. All right. And here's the study that they did. They said that if there's a chart, let me zoom in on the chart. They said the FSBOs that are selling in that time, the average sales price was $137,400. But the homes, the neighbors next to the FSBO that listed with an agent, the average sales price was $175,000. If you do the math, that means we sell houses for 21.49% higher than the for sale by owner. So you got the NAR one saying 18%, this one 21%. We could charge a homeowner whatever clumping number, and the homeowner still nets more money in their pocket. Now watch this. This is even crazier, right? So you've got this guy, for sale by owner.com. You go to forsalebuyowner.com. You want to sell your house, don't pay a realtor. They got the thing there with a slide. It says, listen, if you sold your house for $2 million, that's $105,000. Why would you pay $105,000? You can save for college and house remodel, wedding fund. My gosh, why would you pay a realtor? They charge too much. But this guy, right? The guy that created this website, this business, his name is Colby Sembrado. The founder and former CEO of forsalebuyowner.com, Colby Sembrado, tried selling his 2,000 square foot condominium on his own to classify it as a FSBO site. But after 6 months, how many, gang? 6. He opted to hire real estate broker Jesse Buckler. I can stop the article right there. The guy that is the FSBO king, forsalebuyowner.com, he's telling civilians, don't list with it. Go FSBO. Give me your money. Get 5 feet of me. Even he couldn't sell his own house, condo on his own in New York City, a hot seller's market always. But wait, there's more. He hires a realtor, and he sells it he gets multiple offers, and then he sells it for $150,000 more than his FSBO price. Now, on $2.15 million, this Mama Muluk, he doesn't pay 3% for, he pays 6%, and he pays $129,000 commission. That's more than his sliding scale he said that you should not pay. But wait, here's another one. This guy, buyowner.com, by the way, I think this guy is funny. He's got on his site, don't work with a realtor, but we use realtor.com. There's an oxymoron there. This guy, the CEO of this, watch this. Buyowner.com hires a realtor. He hired an agent, a Coldwell Banker agent in St. Petersburg to sell his property for $3.78 million. Now, listen, I could stop with this over here. If we were charging too much, if we weren't of value, then everybody would be a FSBO. Even the FSBO guys are not FSBOs. Come on now. What the hell's going on here? So this is, now listen, don't say this to a homeowner, what I'm saying over here, like this way. You obviously be professional. Say, Mr. and Mrs. Hunter, let me show you why. So I'm so upset about yesterday. Once again, This is going to make us stronger. So I'm not saying this is a bad thing. It just really stinks that we got to go through this. And I just really dislike this plaintiff's attorney with great intensity. Because of what? Because it's more about the black eye that this guy gave us. All right, let me show you another one over here. This is truly, if you look at this over here, I'll go through this quick. FSBO median price. Every city, Honolulu, Anchor, Greensboro, every city, the homeowners that sell privately net less money than if they hired a realtor and paid a commission. The only outlier there is Detroit. I don't understand that. And 2 cities in Ohio. And so anyway, so only 11% of sellers actually succeed, according to a report by Zillow. Only 11%. The rest are agent assisted. And let me show you this. This is according, again, to NAR. Of the 11% of the FSBOs who did sell on their own, 100% sold for less. They lost money. So, when a homeowner says, I sold something before, or my neighbor sold as a FSBO, there's a difference between selling and selling successfully. If they lost money, anybody can sell anything if you lose money at it. All right. Let me show. Okay. This is what was I going to say here? Okay. Power agents. Let me talk to power agents a second. One of the trainings that I did for you is how to present price and commission. And it's a whole 2 hours just on this. I just used some of it, and I'm going to show a couple of things more. So anyway, this is just another study. I'm going to skip over this. That's another one saying. Now, this I do want to address. I put this in here for you. But wait a second, Darryl. Wouldn't that, and a buyer might say this, doesn't that mean buyers are paying a higher fee for a house if this is true? So because this is a good point, right? So when you look at realtor houses sell for 18%, 20%, 30% more, isn't the buyer hurting because of that now? Well, I wouldn't say they're hurting, but they are paying more. There's no doubt. If a buyer went directly to FSBO, they could probably save money. But there's 2 huge benefits that buyers get when they work with us versus doing it privately. One is they don't have to pay the fee out of their pocket with the old model. See, now that's going to change. Just going to change? Maybe. I have some options. So that was one of the huge benefits then, before this lawsuit. But the other one is they receive many benefits that start with looking at the property, moving into the new home, and everything in between. So it's not like we don't provide service to the buyers. Power agents, this is the section on working with buyers. I'm going to show you in the classroom, power agents. All of this, there's a few that I picked out on when you're talking to buyers. So for example, because let me tell you something. One of the things that we have to do is to validate our commission with buyers now, more than ever, our value. So let me continue here. This, for example, this is called the biopoly, which means it's obvious. But a buyer, it shows the buyer the whole process on what it takes to buy a house from start to finish. In every one of these areas, we're helping the buyer, holding their hand. Now, power agents, you customize that centerpiece. You put your contact information in there, and you do this on a buyer presentation. I'll show you a little bit more in a minute. Here's another thing that we did in my company. We said, you know what? If we charged hourly for all the work that we do for a buyer, depending on what you charge, depending what part of the country you are, what the average hourly wages for certain activities, but I did a low number of $3,300, that if you were to pay somebody hourly to do all the work that we do for a buyer, that's what they wind up paying. But there's other things that we give people to help them. Like if they've got kids, we'll give them something to show how to help the kids in making the move, how to compare properties so you don't get overwhelmed. What do you need to do for a loan? When you're making your move, how do you make this move an easy, smooth move for yourself? When it comes to buying a property, also, there's a whole, from start to finish, what's the guide? How do you do that? So anyway, my point is, gang, and power agents especially, You have access to so many things to help increase your value with your buyer, which is what we need to do more now than ever. All right, so let me show you this here. Let's talk about price real quick. It's a new thing that I want to share with you that I created just for this session. Before you have a pricing conversation with the homeowner, here's what you have to do. The first thing is never discuss price until they have hired you. Now, I don't mean hire you like fill out the form, but when you're talking on a listing appointment, you first have to have the homeowner move from the place of, I don't need a realtor, to, oh my gosh, yeah, I should have this. I have a doctor in my life, an accountant in my life. I have a lawyer. I have these professionals in my life. I need the realtor in my life, especially because I'm selling. So they need to buy into you and your skill or your company, what you bring to the table. No homeowner should ever hire an agent based on price and commission, because we have no control over the price. The only thing we control is the marketing. I'm going to say that again. See, because listen to me. I'm going to show something else in a minute. I got another thing to say to you. Some of you, part of your problem is that you think your job is to go on a listing appointment to sell the homeowner on your price or your commission. First of all, your commission, you should know what you're worth, and that's your commission. There's nothing to sell it on. It is what it is, and that's the end of that. The whole thing that I showed you validates the realtor industry, whether it's a 3% or 10%. We can charge 10%. And they still net more money based on for sale by owner.com and Kobe Sobrado, just those two mama malooks. So the commission, that's a non-issue. We don't cost them. They don't pay, they make money because of us. So you charge what's good for you, and you got to decide what that is. So that's easy. The second thing is the price. Your job is not to sell the homeowner on the price. Your job is to market the house. You can give your opinion about the price. You can show them comps. You can educate them. This is going to bring me to my second thing. My second thing is I want you to coach them. Don't sell them. Your job is not to sell the homeowner on your price or on your commission. Your job is to talk with conviction about how you can help these people get to their next level in their life. And this is what you do to get them to their next level. You see? You know what? A chef, listen, a chef is committed to the process of inventing a meal, and like real passionate chefs. It's about the experience and the taste and what they can do with the tools and the skill that they have. This is what we should be bringing on to a listing appointment, not to close these people. You should love your meal. You should love what you produce for people. What you do is you help people get to their next level, okay? Let them choose you. Don't sell them. All right, I'm sorry. I'm going off here. We're so going to run out of time. I hope that, Julie, are we okay? Is this helping any of you? Because I am saying a lot of things. This is going to turn into a 5-hour training.
Well, so far the consensus is that you should be on the stand in the favor of realtors, and you would win.
Well,
Like if you had been on the stand, everybody is everybody believes that we would.
Thank you. Listen, gang, I hope you can hang in with them, because I'm going over time, but I'm trying to just help you. I'm letting my heart speak here. And by the way, I will tell you, this is how I did. You know, if you ask me how long a listing appointment was when I would do a listing appointment, do you see this? This is what I mean, I wouldn't talk so angry about, but how long my listing appointments were? They were as long as it took for me to convince the homeowner they should not be a FSBO and they should hire a realtor, even if it's not me. So whatever it took, I would wear him down. So I'm just giving you everything I got. I hope it's okay. This is an unusual thing that, it's an hour. It's going to be what it is. All right. I
don't want you to breathe, Darryl. Everybody's worried about you. I want you to take a big, deep breath.
Okay. Listen, coach them. Don't sell them. Coach them. Don't sell them. Your job is not to sell them on a price. What I want you to do is educate them. You bring your CMA. By the way, RPR is the best tool in the industry for presenting price. You go through the comps, explain it to them. Say, they're smart people, and if they got to hear the bad news, and if they go like, well, I could sell the house at this price. You know what you need to tell a homeowner? Listen, all these comps, how did you decide on this price, Mr. and Mrs. Hunter, as a FSBO? How did you decide it? Well, I looked online. I looked at what sold. Show me what you show. Ask them to show you the comps that they use. And you know what that's going to, I guarantee you it's going to happen. They're going to show you this one. They're going to show you this one. They're going to show you this one. Go, okay, good. And then here's what I want you to do. You're saying, hold on. You know what all these people have in common, Mr. and Mrs. Honey? You're right. These prices, I can see where you came up with the price. You know what they all have in common? Two things. Number one is they sold. And number two, this one sold through a realtor. This one sold through a realtor. This one sold through a realtor. And they all paid a realtor a commission. The price that you want is the realtor price, not the FSBO price. All right. The third thing is take the listing at any price as long as you're honest with them. So I don't want you to feel like that listen, I want you to be okay with being wrong. So you talk to them about the price and they say, well, listen, I'm really stuck on this price, Darryl. I'll call you back. Hey, listen, I know I can help you. So let's do this. I would love to be wrong. So why don't we put it on the market at the price that you want? Let's feel it out. Let's see how it goes. But I want you to promise me, if we don't have any, how long do you think it'll take for us to sell if we put it this price? Because you said you don't want to give it away. You said that price would be given it away. So you want to do this price. So how long do you think it'll take? Because the give it away price would be right away, right? So how long do you think it'll take? And let them tell you, well, I think we should have an offer in a month. Okay, good. I want you to make me a promise that in a month, if we don't get at least an offer, that you're going to revisit the price that I'm suggesting, okay? See, you can take an overpriced listing as long as you're honest with them and don't tell them, yeah, I can get you that price. Because let me tell you something. When you say, yeah, I can get you that price, because the reason why some people do that is because they're not skilled at conveying the power of realtor. So what they do is they empower the bad conversation that homeowners think about hiring an agent based on the price that the agent tells them. I don't want you to do that. I want you to be good at conveying the value of realtor. Then when it comes to the price conversation, I want you to be honest and be a good coach, a good counselor, a good real estate professional, and tell them what you think. My attorney, that's what she does, Michelle. She tells me, Darryl, we got a choice. You can do this, you can do that. This is what I think. I think this. I could be wrong, but you're the boss. You're paying my bill. And then I do what I do. And then if it doesn't work out, I can't blame Michelle. All right. Now, let me go to, here's the big kahunas. Here it comes. All right, the commission conversation, option number one. Step one is you present your fee for just marketing and managing the listing side of the sale. That can be lower than what it would be worth for both the listing and this combined. So the good thing about what's happening in this, because of the lawsuit, is that we can start to uncouple the commission. Instead of asking for whatever number, right? Let's go with the clumping that the plaintiff said. They said 5 to 6 was clumping. All right, so let's go with 5. So instead of you trying to convince a homeowner of 5, now you'd only have to say, 3 or 2 or 2.5, like just the listing side. You just get the homeowner to hire you on the listing and marketing side. Don't worry about the buyer side yet. That's the first step. The second step is now you explain that the buyer will pay the agent directly. Okay, so now they pay just the listing fee and the homeowner doesn't pay anything. Step 3 is you explain to the seller now that having the buyer pay the agent a fee could limit options for the buyer. In other words, it would be better for the buyer to not cut a 1 or 2 or 3%, et cetera, check to their agent if they can finance it into the contract. Have the seller sign a separate acknowledgement that they're willing to allow the buyer's agent to put their fee up to whatever percent on top of the contract price, and they'll receive the commission at closing. This is basically known as seller's concession. Now, we all should know what seller's concessions are. And based on the mortgage amount and how much, not the mortgage amount, sorry, how much the buyer's putting down, there's certain rules about seller's concession, how much it can go, but it can go up as high as 9%, the seller's concession. So essentially, gang, what we can do, so the buyer doesn't have to pay a check to the agent, we can use the seller's concession law to actually finance the buyer agent. So it's the same concept, just presented a little differently. Now, here's another option. What did I just hear? Is this no? Is this okay? This is actually option number 2. It says option number 1. I just did option number 1. Yeah, sorry, that's a typo. This is option number 2. Option number 2 is you present your fee for just the marketing and managing the listing side of the sale. Then you explain to the buyer that the buyer will pay their agent directly. Okay, so homeowner pays you, and the buyer's got to pay the agent. Step 3, as an added incentive, the homeowner can opt to pay an incentive fee to the buyer's agent by offering them a fee to sell the house. So this is not a concession. This is essentially doing exactly what we've been doing, but we're calling it an incentive fee, and we're explaining it clearly to the homeowner. We're being totally transparent. Now, remember what I said. Any of these options I give you, your broker is going to be driving the bus on this decision, how they want to go. So these are a couple of options. Let me show you something else. You can also, part of the problem is that we weren't giving people choices, right? So what you could do, and this is just a sample, you could break your commission on a listing appointment into different pieces. You can say there's the 3% plan, the 4%, the 5%, or it could be the 1%, the 2%, the 3%. The point is you're having a conversation just on the listing side, which, by the way, this is why I think we're going to get more listings because of this. If we separate, just like the New York board is doing, the real estate board in New York is doing, that it'll be easier to get listings because we won't be having to ask for the full commission on both sides. We're going to have a conversation on just the listing marketing side. Now, when it comes to talking about the buyer side, that's where we add the conversation about an incentive fee. And the incentive fee basically says that the agent is the fee is placed on top of the listing. 100% of the incentive fee will be paid to the selling agent from the listing agent. This will make your home more attractive to a buyer's agent. So part of what I think is necessary is communicating more clearly on how this commission is getting paid. Okay, now let's go to this. Hang on one second. I want you guys, because I see that it's 1 o'clock right now. So what I want you to do is I want you to start writing your questions. We're going to get to these questions, but I want to show you a few more things before we do this, because like I said, I want to make sure I cover all my points for you. And here's what I want to show you: example of a commission agreement. Okay. This agreement, I'm not going to go into all the little nonsense stuff. So let's go here. Listing and marketing fee. The homeowner agrees to pay the agent a listing and marketing fee of blank % based on the final sales price. This fee will be paid at closing. See the listing marketing plan for detailed description. So the homeowner is agreeing to pay just the listing side. The selling agent said the homeowner elects the option to pay an additional marketing fee of blank to the selling agent as an incentive. This is above and beyond the blank listing and marketing fee. The homeowner understands that this additional fee is optional and is agreed upon to enhance the marketing efforts of the property. This fee, like the listing and marketing fee, will also be paid at closing. Now, once again, we're trying to communicate to a homeowner the value in doing this. Instead of making the buyer cut a check, that's money that the buyer can use to put. Let's say a buyer has 10% to put down. And if they have to now pay the agent their fee, that makes, and let's say that agent's fee is 3%. Now the buyer only has 7%. It makes the buyer harder to qualify for the loan. It makes it harder for us to sell the property. So we have to explain the benefit to the homeowner in doing this way. The buyer's agent commission, the homeowner acknowledges, understand that if they do not offer an incentive fee, the selling agent is referenced, it could make it more complicated for them. Let me just show you this. And then what you can do, listen, I'm going to make sure that all the power agents, I'm sending you a copy of this. I don't want to read every single thing. It'll take too much time because I have a few more minutes of stuff to get here. I want to get through this.
Power agents will get a copy.
What's that, Julie?
Power agents will get a copy.
Yes, I said power agents will get a copy. So make sure that it's getting emailed to them. Yes. So, all right, let's talk about the buyer conversation. Okay. How are we going to get a buyer to pay a buyer agent? So let's say for a second, the buyer, it doesn't get worked out. The seller doesn't want to do the incentive fee. They don't want to put it on top, whatever. Let's say it's really got to be uncoupled. And let's say the buyer really has to pay the fee. how are we going to get the buyer to pay us a fee? Whatever that fee is, 1, 2, whatever you're going to charge. Let me show you something. One of our power agents sent this to me, and I don't have her name in front of me. She used to be a travel agent. She said something. Travel agents back in the 90s used to get all of their money came from the airlines because they were the gatekeepers. If you wanted to book a flight, you had to go through a travel agent. So the travel agent was paid by the airlines. Then in the late 90s, the airlines, they uncoupled. They said, we're not paying commissions anymore to travel agents. People can book it themselves. And it came online in the whole 9 yards. So everybody said that travel agents were that industry was going to get decimated. They were going to be out of business. Now, it did hurt them quite a bit, but they reinvented themselves. What they had to do is they had to find other ways to validate the value that they are for people looking to book travel. And what I suggest that we need in training now, that the power agents, this is all part of what we're going to be doing with you, is we have to get really great at communicating the value that we are to the buyers, so that way they work with us, right? So they see the value. Now, let me show you this. One of our power agents, Fran, said from Howard Hanna Real Estate, I'm now more effective with buyers because of what I learned during the course. It went up 30% working less hours. Let me show you what to do with buyers. First of all, we have to communicate there's a difference between a buyer as a customer and as a client. When you think about somebody as a client, for example, when you buy a car, you're a client, you're a customer, sorry. When you buy food at the grocery, clothing, furniture, we are customers. We're not clients of that business. When you think of client relationships, you have an attorney, an accountant, insurance agent, and a real estate professional. So there's a difference. And the big difference, and I'll probably talk about this, is with a client or with a customer, the commitment is to the sale. But when somebody is a client, there is a commitment to the client's best interest. There's a fiduciary responsibility that we have to the client that we've got to look out for their best interest. So part of talking to a buyer is you want to ask them, do you want to be a customer or do you want to be a client? If you're a customer, my commitment is to showing you the house. And in some states, depending what state it is, I'm committed to helping the seller get the most money for the house. But as a client, if you're my client, my commitment is to you, getting you the best deal possible. So let me show you some examples of things that we would talk to with a buyer to validate why they should hire you to be their client. You should talk about how RPR, because the tools that it has connecting, and some of you, your companies have great tools to communicate with your buyers. Tell them about 3D tours. Tell them about floor plans and measurements and how you can do digitally docking, signing things. Now, these are things that we offer buyers across the board, but we want to make it communicate when they're a client how much more special it is. Show them about the process and how you'll hold their hands. Show them how you'll keep them informed because of your software. Show them the number of hours and what you're going to put into the work that you do. When it comes time to talking to buyers, gang, what we have to convey is the value that we're going to bring to them. I'm going to show you one other sheet here. As a seller's agent, my fiduciary responsibility is to the home seller. Therefore, I can't advise you on what you should offer. After writing your offer, I will negotiate the best price for you. Will not negotiate the best price for you, but instead for the seller. I can't represent your best interest. My responsibility is to the seller. So part of what you want to do when you're talking to the buyer, if they're going to stay a customer for you, there isn't the same commit. You have to be committed to then, in this case, the seller and the seller's best interest. Now, no buyer wants that. The buyer wants you to work for them. You know, part of why this all happened as well is I think as an industry, we've been really bad at communicating this distinction of buyer agency and how a lot of buyers thought that they were a client when in fact they were a customer. So we've got to get better at getting buyer agency agreements with our buyers. Now, power agents, when you go to the classroom, you're going to see a section on buyers, and everything that I just shared with you is in there. There's one other thing. I want to show you this. Vicky Yates, she said, the second accepted offer today as a power agent. This was a buyer whose husband refused to sign a buyer agent's agreement. This was our fifth offer, And it finally happened. Thank you, Darryl Davis. I will never work without a buyer's agent agreement again. So part of what you guys have to do, and I don't have the time to go over this because it's all going to be sent to the power agents. If you're a guest, it's going to work for you to do this $10 thing so we can email you all of this. We created real estate commission agreements that's transparent with the buyer and the seller, dual agency, how to avoid the conflict of interest, and then a whole other set of samples of buyer agency agreements. Now, I want to get to one other thing, and I want to just see how you guys are doing. I should have asked this sooner. If you were going to tell me one thing that you got out of this so far, because we're going to go a few more minutes here that I want to share with you. What was the most valuable thing that you learned in this session? I want to know, and then we're going to open up to questions. The one more thing that I want to share with you is this. This is the real important thing that I said at the beginning of this webinar, is why all of this is important and why we have to sit tight with training now is this. Here is what the consumers, or I like to say affectionately, the civilians opened up or their apps when they were reading the news today. This is the headlines. New York Times, home sellers win $1.8 billion after jury finds conspiracy among realtors. Reuters, U.S. jury finds realtors liable for inflating commissions. Newsweek, Berkshire Hathaway to pay $5.3 billion max in this commission case. Fortune magazine, real estate industry rocked by $1.8 billion verdict, finding conspiracy. Realtors found liable because of conspiracy. Zillow plunges because of the verdict. Jury awards realtor shaken brokerage commissions. Missouri jury finds brokerages guilty of conspiracy to inflate commissions. This was what I opened up my app this morning at 3 a.m. You see that there? Yeah, there's the timestamp. 3:20 this morning, a feed flooding on conspiracy, liable, judgment, damages, inflated. This is what the consumers were hit with today. So let me tell you something. I spoke to somebody that said, no, there's nothing to worry about now. It's business as usual. Don't just stay. There are a couple of, God bless my colleagues that say, no, just buckle in. Don't worry about it. Just keep going full ahead. Business as usual. You know, here's a company that thought business as usual. Blockbuster, Polaroid, Toys R Us, Borders, Kodak, BlackBerry, all of these companies, they had an opportunity to pivot, and they chose not to pivot because they wanted to do business as usual. They didn't want to see the writing on the wall. And you know who replaced these companies? Companies like Apple, Amazon, Canon, Netflix, Amazon, Apple, Amazon, and Amazon. So let me tell you something. This is my son. This is a picture of my son. He used to love playing video games. And he said to me once, I'll never forget this. I was trying to learn the Call of Duty. He said, Dad, be careful. There's a guy around the corner. My son was so good at playing these games. He knew what was around the corner before it happened. And so he got skilled at playing his game because he was prepared for what was around the corner. Listen, don't get me wrong. I don't think the sky is falling. I think that we've got issues. And I think there's a guy around the corner, and we haven't even seen it yet. So when I'm telling you, I'm telling every one of you, please, you've got to get trained and skilled in these areas because you don't want to be unprepared when the guy comes around from the corner. This is the power agents. Let me talk to you for a second. The training that we are going to be working on for you is handling a new set of objections that we're going to find on listing appointments because of this. How to manage the damage perception in our industry. How to prospect respectively. You call a FSBO now after this, forget about it. You won't get one word out. They're going to hang up on you because they're going to see you nothing as but a salesperson that gets paid too much, and you're all colluding to take money out of their pockets. How to pivot with how we work with buyers and how to pivot on the listing appointment. This is the training that was coming up over the coming weeks. Now, I want to go to questions, but before I do, We need to talk about the guests. I want to take care of the guests and give the guests an opportunity to be a power agent so they can get this recording and get other stuff, which, by the way, if power agents on the call, do me a favor. Can you pay it forward and tell the guests what you think about being a power agent, how the program's helped you, and you think it's valuable? But I'm going to just take 2 minutes to do this really quick. First of all, every Monday, there's a coaching call with me, and it goes for about 2 hours. It's live. You can actually talk to me. It comes off the phone. You can unmute yourself. We can role play, whatever it is. If we role play, then we record it. And then you can search. We have this searchable function where you can search the recording and find our role play, and you can play it over and over again. One of our power agents said, Erica, she said, the coaching calls on Monday is the best part of the program for her. Every couple of months, we do a brainstorming session with all the power agents. It's like a show and tell. They share their winning strategies, techniques. We take that, we put it into an e-guide. We send it out to all the power agents. We have on-demand training. Now, with all of the training, like this training, for example, the power agents actually get my slide deck. And power agents, you're going to see in today's slide deck some bonus slides because I couldn't get to everything. I didn't want to go to 2 o'clock with all the training. So I'm going to just revisit that on another session, but you're going to have the slides in advance. This is how it works. When you go to the portal, the classroom, you're going to see all of these sections of the program, like that represent our industry, right? So if you need help with buyers, or you need help with prospecting, or let's say you need help with farming and self-promotion, you would click on that tab, and then you would see literally, we have over 800 now, I think my team told me, of forms, flyers, checklists, scripts, dialogues. And anything that's a form that you use on a civilian, with a civilian, you can customize it and put all your contact information. We use a similar search function as Google. So if you type in, let's say, FSBO, everything FSBO related will show up, whether it's a dialogue or something. So let me ask the guests this question. If this program generated one sale every other month, it says 1 month, let's say it's every other month, what would that be worth? And, when we priced this years ago on the power program online, we looked at some of our colleagues and what they do in their coaching. And we would be in line with everybody at $397, but we don't do that. So at $297, we know that would be a great discount for people, but we don't want money to be a barrier. So we even toyed with this number, and we're probably going to be at that number, but at some point. But right now, it is only $67 a month, and there's no contract. So, and for you guys, it's not even that today. It's just the $10 for the next 30 days. So here's the deal. You can cancel anytime. You have complete access to the program. You're going to get a copy of this recording, the slides. You're going to get bonuses today. These are the bonuses you're getting, and you only have to worry about $10. And at the end of the 30 days or before the 30 days, and day 2, day 3, doesn't matter. You say, you know what? I don't like this program. I don't like Darryl. And that's it. You can keep everything, including all the slides. So power agents, anything that you want to add to this, please let us know. And I'm sorry, I just did something here. Hang on 1 second. Julie, am I still on the call?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, good, because I just hit something, and because my Italian hands hit it. We're going to go to the questions. And the one thing I do want to address, why is this such a great deal? We just don't want money to be an obstacle for people. So make sure you get this. And also, we're going to send you a link to all of these recordings where I really delve deep into the lawsuit. And we're going to continue doing the training that we said we're going to talk about. The next 30 days for this $10, you're going to get 4 trainings. You're going to get 4 live coaching calls. You're going to get the handouts, National Directory and the Power Agent Directory, access to all of our stuff, access to our team. And that is it. Julie, let's go to the questions. I'm curious to see what I can do to help these people. All right, so give it to me.
The biggest question or most popular question is, where do I get the slides and where will I find the replay?
Okay, so here's where I'm going to just go out of my slides here for a second, and I'm going live now, so hopefully this is working. Okay, good. So when you go to webinars on demand. So in the classroom, webinars on demand, you're going to see, click here for replay and slides from the most recent webinar. So that's going to be this one. Now, of course, we're still recording it, so it's not there yet. But once it is, it'll also be in this spot here. So the webinars on demand, these are all the weekly training sessions that power agents have access to. And every single one of them, like when you click on it, it'll show you the recording that you can watch. And some people listen to it like an iTunes type of thing, like they just listen to the audio. So, and then also there's a copy of the slides. So then you'll download the slides as well. All right. Next question.
Several making fun of you a little bit, asking if 67 is clumping.
Is 67 clumping? That's cute.
Clumping is funny. Kim said, best choice I've made 5 years ago. I've never been disappointed. Wealth of knowledge shared, live teachings and trainings, classroom with a wealth of information at our fingertips, all at a low monthly price. I will share with everyone that will listen. Great job, Darryl.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Are the slides with percentages updated to be more current? We do update them often, Judy.
Yes, I mean everything that we do is it's updated every week. So yes, absolutely. Next
Are the
question.
pieces customizable, Darryl?
Is what?
Are they customizable, the forms?
The slide, yes, they are definitely customizable where you can actually let me show you here. So if I go to the classroom, let me just go here and go classroom. And if I go to the buyer section, for example, and it seems like everybody's hitting it, I'm going to go to the property comparison. It's going to download right now, and I'm going to open it up, and I'll show you how it's customizable really quick. And Julie, while this is loading, do me a favor, ask me another question.
Sure. Well, while you're looking at that, just because I can see it, you'll see Espanol. Most of our client-facing pieces are in Spanish as well. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that, Julie.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So here now, everything that we create is either on PowerPoint or Microsoft Word. So you'll see here, I'm just moving my photo. I can put my photo here, and then you'll see, I'll zoom in on that. So this is where you can put your name. This is what you would give a buyer. I will tell you, power agents said that they love this because when they give this to a buyer, buyers get overwhelmed when they're looking at the properties, and this has really helped them to compare the properties that they're looking at. So anyway, but this is all customizable. Even if you don't like some of the data that we put here, you can actually make some of the changes, like if you don't like to add the closing costs. So you have full editing abilities on all the pieces. You don't have to learn a new software. It's a standard Microsoft thing. Next question, Julie.
Perfect. I actually have a lot of questions with, can it be financed? I know you covered that, but can you just do an overarching, can the buyer's agent commission be financed into the mortgage? We have a lot of that.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. There is no law, and there's nothing wrong with the commission being financed as part of the mortgage. Okay. How it's done is that when you negotiate a price with the seller, after that price has been negotiated and accepted, we're going to then take, let's say it's $500,000, and just as an example, let's say it's 2% to the selling broker. That's $10,000. The contract will now read $510,000 purchase price. There'll be a separate agreement that is to be transparent with both the buyer and the seller and the two agents, that we know that this is the commission and what the price is and how it's being managed. It's essentially how we do it now, but it's just being clearly communicated and documented. So that way, no one can say that we're forced the homeowner, this buyers didn't know. The commission agreement that I have for you guys, and let me just show you my screen here. It's the commission agreement that we have for you, which is on the website as well. It actually shows really clearly, that's not the right one. And by the way, that's a Word document, so you can totally edit it. There's so many commission agreements that we created for you that shows dual agency and how the homeowner's accepting that and how that's fine. The buyer knows how much the listing agent's getting paid. The buyer knows how much the buyer's agent's getting paid. Like, it's totally fully transparent now, and it's all choice. and it's all choice for the buyer to choose, the seller to choose, etc. So full transparency. Next question, Julie.
Perfect. And just on that note, if you can just show them, because a lot of power agents are where we find all these new pieces. They're very excited. There's a what's new. We put in what's new in the into the classroom, and so
Yep.
everything's loaded there. You can look in buyers, you can look in the listing appointment, but everything right now is in what's new that Darryl's been talking about today.
So when you go to the classrooms, anytime we put something in, it automatically goes into the what's new. So that way it'll be easy for you to find it. So there's your November marketing calendar. There is the NAR lawsuit training hub. Now, a lot of these trainings, because there's going to be more on this topic, this is going to be happening for a while. Is going to be loaded here, so that way it'll be easy for you to find it. But so you'll see all these new videos. And then there's, I didn't get into this today, the dialogue for the commission and the seller incentive fee. We have a dialogue for that. There is the listing marketing plan. There is the dual agency agreement, the new commission agreement. Yeah, so there you go. Next question, Julie.
Awesome. What if the house does not appraise at the top number?
Oh, yeah, good. I meant to say that too. Yeah. So here's been our experience across the board is that in this market right now things may change. And so that'll be a new conversation to be had. It'll be a new part of the training, and this is something, because I don't want to get too complicated with this. If it doesn't appraise at 515, then it wouldn't appraise at 500. So it's not going to, or 510 in that example, I believe. If you've got an agreement for 500, the commission is 2%. That's 2%, 510. If it doesn't appraise at 510, it wouldn't appraise at 500. It's not going to kill a deal. It's absolutely not. So, so don't worry about that as of right now. Next question.
Will this affect commercial real estate?
No, this from what I understand, this lawsuit had nothing to do with the commercial side of things.
Perfect. That USA Today FSBO article was from 2003. I know it still applies, but what are today's statistics?
So, okay, that's a good point. So there's plenty of other statistics that we have in the site. The reason why I lean on the USA Today one is two reasons. Number one is it's the current market matches with the 2003 market. Okay. There's no current stats that I know of that compares FSBOs to expireds other than NAR stat that I showed from 2021. The problem with the NAR stat, which was in the seminar, this webinar I did for you, is that it's NAR. And it looks, but people, everybody knows USA Today. So one of the things that I want power agents to do is to use publications that people recognize, right? So I'll give you, for instance, when I did when I showed you guys these headlines, New York Times, Newsweek, Housing Wire, Washington Post, Bloomberg, these are companies that everybody knows and recognizes. I actually looked for Fox, and I actually couldn't find anything about the judgment on the Fox website. So you want to put things that people recognize. So anyway, as we get through this market, if I see something that is a study that shows FSBO compared to realtor price that is closer to this market, I'll certainly share that. Next question.
Where can we find the agreements you had up? I think we just covered that, Anthony. You can find them in the What's New.
Yep.
The buyer's one is going to be in the buyers, and the seller's one is going to be in the listing appointment.
Exactly.
And we actually, let's see, we actually have quite a few that are saying, what about VA? Because they can't pay the VA loans can't pay the commission.
Right. So, I'll be honest with you, I don't know the answer to that. So if a VA can't, I don't know the answer to that one.
I think they're going to probably have to address some of that, right?
Yeah, that's something that's going to have to be addressed somehow, because if a VA doesn't legally pay the agent a fee? Who's going to pay the selling agent?
Mm.
I don't know the answer to that.
Alexa says Darryl's Power Agent program is the absolute most valuable, relatable, relevant, and informative program I've ever had access to. Thank you, Alexis.
Thank you, Alexis. Next question, Julie.
Sorry. Don't reinvent the wheel. Sign up today, says Lawrence. I love it. This is priceless. Guess the PA program is everything you need. Let's see here. What time are the coaching calls, and can I actually talk to you?
Yes. The coaching calls on Monday are at 11 o'clock. Sorry about that. It's at 11 o'clock Eastern time, and it ends at 1 o'clock.
Excellent. And they are recorded, and you can ask your question in advance. So you can either watch them via video in our Facebook group, or you can listen to them on Zoom.
Yep.
Michael, cold calling is still banned in New York unless you have a verifiable buyer.
Yeah, it's cold calling is not banned in New York, so that's a miscommunication. So, I mean, for agents, right? So, I don't want to get lost in the weeds on this. This question always comes up on the webinars. NAR NISAR has put out. If you read what NISAR really put out a really great communication, because it makes it seem like it's against the law. But if you read it word for word, it's not saying that, because it's not. Okay. So you're not allowed to make, New York is in a state of emergency still because of gun violence, and which is really absurd on itself. But it gives the governor a lot of power when there's a state of emergency, and so basically doesn't want to let it go, I think. Anyway, so in the state of emergency, you can't make unsolicited telephone calls. And FSBOs are not unsolicited. FSBOs are actually soliciting telephone calls because they are telling people to call them. So it doesn't apply to FSBOs. That's just one reason, but there's a lot of other reasons that I'm not going to get into. But if you're on a coaching call Monday, I'd be happy to go over it with you. I want to move on to getting many questions answered on this one. But just to put a pin in it, you can absolutely call FSBOs in New York 100%. Now, if your broker says not to, then you can't. Next question.
Your broker drives the bus. You said that right out of the beginning.
But I will say this. I'm going to say this one other thing now about the calling FSBOs. Part of the training that we're going to do, because this is my specialty, we are going to shift the dialogue for calling FSBOs because of this lawsuit. Because we got such a black eye from this that it needs to shift. So anyway, so we'll be working on that. Next question, Julie.
I'm sorry. I love what Mike just said. He said, I was questioning us and our industry if we might be doing things somewhat unfairly, but after your initial presentation, obviously not. That made me smile.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you have listing presentations?
Yes, we have. When you go to Classroom and you go to Julie, let's focus a little bit on the questions that are about the lawsuit for now. When you go to the Classroom, you go to listing appointment, you're going to find a whole plethora of content to use on a listing appointment. All of these some of these are flyers or articles to use with a homeowner. It could be dialogue. It could be guides that you can customize and share. A lot of mailing or flyers, I should say, to show homeowner why now is a good time to sell. The Sellopoly, so we created a Sellopoly too. But along with that, there is a listing presentation file, which actually, instead of me trying to look for it, if you are a guest and you become a power agent, we're going to email you the listing appointment along with a recording on how to deliver the listing appointment, which again, you get to keep if you decide not to continue as a power agent.
Lawrence asks, is the seller concession considered cash back? Could that be a RESPA issue?
No, you are technically allowed to do seller's concessions, and there's an actual chart that I created for you guys on the seller's concession, if I can find it, because I don't know if I actually got to share it with you. So here it is. So let me just zoom on this for you. So when it's a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, when the loan to value is 90% or more, it's a 3% seller's concession. 75% to 90 is 6%, and then up to 9%. FHA 6%. VA loans explains that a little bit. USDA loans 6%. So seller's concessions are totally okay, and you can use the commission for the buyer, for the buyer's agent, I should say, as a seller's concession.
Excellent. Thank you. Michael says, once you secure the listing side, how do you then justify getting the buyer side of the commission if you sell it?
So if you sell it yourself, is that what he's saying?
I think that's what he's saying. Once you secure the
Yeah.
listing side, yes.
So you tell them there's two parts to every transaction, right? There is the marketing side, and then there's the selling side. So you're telling the homeowner they don't have to pay you the commission for the buyer side. They're hiring you for the listing side. When it comes to the buyer side, that'll be between you and the buyer, and not to worry about it. So that's how I would have that conversation with the homeowner. Now, when it comes to you getting the buyer, so let's say you do an open house and you have a buyer, and you're going to put the deal together. And at that point, you have a conversation with the homeowner about, we can have the buyer pay my side of the transaction for managing that side, because I'm going to be doing both sides. There's an actual form we created for you where if you wanted to, the homeowner would actually sign off saying it is okay that you represent both sides of the transaction. If not, then you will take that buyer and you'll give it to another agent in your office, and that agent will pay you a referral fee, and that's how you would do that. But it's just totally being transparent with the homeowner. But I would have that conversation after you have the buyer. I wouldn't have it during the listing appointment, because it'll just confuse things.
Excellent. Kimberly says, what if we're not a power agent? How do we get a copy of the slides once we sign up?
We're going to so once you sign up, you're a power agent. And so you pay the $10. We're going to email you the recording. We're going to email you the slides, and you'll get a password and username. You'll have complete access to the entire program, and that'll happen. Do they get the slides today, Julie?
I believe so. They're already on the site. They're
Oh yeah, so you'll get those today. Yep.
Excellent. Will past power agents get copies of the slides and the documents?
Only active power. So if you're not an active power agent, no, you won't be. You have to be an active power agent.
Excellent. And if you are a past agent and you want to re-sign up, you can still go ahead and click on that special offer, and we'll send you an additional link. Or you can use the chat on the site. I don't know if you want to share the chat on the site, because we have a lot of questions coming in. So we do want to make sure that. Is the recording available for this webinar? Yes, it's going to be in the webinars on demand section, where I think Darryl showed that a little while ago, along with the slides. Ramon says, my first time here. I just signed up as a power agent. You are fantastic.
Congratulations. Yes, that's exciting.
Let's see. Is the commission an allowable closing cost?
So hang on one second. Linda Rosatelli said that she said NAR is saying this matter is not closed. No, well, I don't know what you mean, Linda. What they're saying is that there's still avenues to pursue, like an appeals. So they are appealing it, and that appeal could take 2-3 years. But there is a judgment today and yesterday, and so the case is closed, and NAR lost. Now it's appeals. There's still more to this. The judge has to do a final ruling as to the consequences. Like, it could be more than $1.7 billion. It could also restrict us now as far as making sellers pay the the buyer agent's fee. So there's still some news to come out, which could happen today or by the end of this week. Go ahead, next question, Julie.
Yes. How does buyer decide on buyer's agent fee?
How do they decide on buyer's agent what?
How does the buyer decide on what their fee should be? You have to present that, right? So the
Yeah,
agent
you've
has
got
to
it.
present that.
You can decide whatever you want. You talk to your broker to get some guidance on that, but you could charge a flat fee. You could charge $1,000 or $500 or a percentage. You can charge whatever you want, as long as it's within the relationship with your broker, because your broker and you are partners. So your broker has some say in how the company is going to operate, for that individual office. And so I would talk to your broker.
Excellent. Milagros says, don't you think, being realistic, the buyer will not pay the buyer's agent? Therefore, buying agents won't be showing the properties, and the seller would think that it would not make sense to list in the MLS.
Okay, so here's it's a good concern, right? So my thinking on this is that, number one, we have to get really good at explaining the value that we have for a buyer. That's the first step. One of the things I kept seeing across the board, that all of the companies are saying, we have to train our agents better. That agents have to get more training than ever because of this new real estate reality we find ourselves in. So that means no more just throwing a buyer into the car and start showing property. It means you've really got to master that listing conversation. Let me show you, because again, I didn't get to all the slides, but this is a good question. So I'm gonna show you something. This is the listing part. This is the buyer part. Yeah. Oh, here it is. This is one of our power agents, Paul Musso from Long Island. And he said, thanks, Darryl. I closed over $14 million my second year when I took this program. If anyone does think it's for real, tell them to call me. I'd be glad to show my 1099. Obviously, you can tell he's Italian from New York. And Paul, what he's really great. That's my son right there in that picture. And this is his friend that they bought this house. They bought a $750,000 house, the two of them. Very proud of my son. He's doing really well in his life. He's 26 years old. He's single, ladies, by the way.
Handsome young man, very eloquent.
But this you've got here is Paul's team. There's three people on this team. Well, I think he has more than three, but there were three there. And what's happening in this picture is Paul is showing on the screen, explaining to Michael and to Alex the process of buying a house. So I want you to imagine if you were a buyer and you didn't know what you know about real estate, and your real estate agent that you meet for the first time meets with you and whoever he can pull in his team, and you have this face-to-face meeting and basically explain, here's the process, and here's how I work, and here's how we're going to do this, and here's an app where we're going to communicate. So just like travel agents, when they thought they were going to go out of business because now people could just go directly, it's the same question. A buyer may want to just go right to the listing agent or just buy right from the homeowner and not use an agent. Why would they pay a fee? They'll only pay the fee if we're good at establishing our value, why we're worth it to them. So we have to get better. We can't be sloppy anymore when on the buyer side. We have to really take the time to communicate how we serve them and how we're worth what the pay is going to be. Now, we may be able to work that pay into the price, putting it on top of the contract. We may be able to work that pay for the buyer as a seller's concession. So there's some options so the buyer doesn't have to write a check. But either way, whether they write the check or not, we've got to establish our value. So that's my thought on that. Next question, Julie.
I love it. Marita says, thank you, Darryl. I just became a power agent last week and I love it. This is my second training webinar. And my only suggestion to all the guests today is to sign up now, especially with what is happening in our industry today. It's a great time to be a power agent. Oh,
Awesome.
I just now smile, Marita.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see. Hold on. I'm sorry. Too much. How to communicate on everything to all parties is worth it. I love it. Like the idea of separating the buyer and seller concessions. Important of communication. Would the commission agreement require Bright's approval to implement?
I'm sorry, read that again.
Linda asked, would the commission agreement require Bright's approval to implement? In other words, the sample agreements that we put in the program?
Yeah, let me tell you one of the things that you're going to discover in this because of this lawsuit. You're going to discover that the MLSs and the association, NAR, are going to want to be more fluid in their rules. You see, part of the problem here is that the attorneys said that this was collusion because of the rules that NAR has put out. So when it comes to our license, what we legally can do and not do, the things that are crimes and etc., is our Department of Licensing in our state. The MLS rules has no power over the license. The association rules have no power over the license. So Bright MLS and a lot of MLSs are going to be a little bit less strict on their rules because they don't want the responsibility that they are finding themselves maybe having to pay for. So give me that question again so I can come back to it, Julie.
Well, okay, hold on.
You published it?
Sorry, I published it. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Okay.
It was, well, you have to run it past Bright before you use it, basically, is the question.
No, you do not have to prove it, Bryce. Bryce is going to be like, listen, we're an information thing and we ain't getting into paying commissions and what you should do or can't do, because that's the cooperation rule. The cooperation rule. Now, I think the cooperation rule helped homeowners and help buyers, and that's what NAR is going to appeal and fight it. And I hope we win it, because I do believe the cooperation rule was good, and this now screws everything up. But in the meantime, I think there's going to be some hands off on this. As long as if you want to do something with your own commission agreement, it's not part of the, all right, well, listen, that's on you then. I think that's the approach that they'll take, and that's the smart business approach that I think they should take.
How do we get you on the stand? I love it. Is the 30-day trial, is that full access or is that limited?
Full access. Full access.
Excellent. Deborah says, so can the seller still pay the buyer's agent if they want to?
Yes, I believe that the seller can still, if we go to, the problem is that we made it seem like, and by the way, we didn't make it seem this way. This was what the plaintiff said. We made it seem like it wasn't an option for the homeowner, that the homeowner had to pay both the listing and selling commission. Now, what I'm trying to do here and giving you the forms that we created, like I didn't go deep on the form because I felt like we were running out of time. And I don't want to go, I don't want to put people to sleep. So I want to answer these questions. When you get the commission form that I created, and we ran it through legal, but I'm not saying, I hate to say that because I don't want people to think that I am telling you that this is a legal thing. You need to vet this yourself. Option to appoint another agent. Is this on the dual agency one? See, here's the dual agency. What's that, Julie?
I said, right.
The dual agency, when the parties understand that they have the right to request another agent from whatever real estate company you want to put in there to represent them, if either the buyer or the seller choose to be represented by another agent, the agent agrees to cease all communications. Anyway, so I made it so clear that we are going to be totally transparent. If you're a dual agent, everybody's fine with it. If the seller wants to pay the buyer's agent's commission to make it easier for the buyer, how is that wrong? How is that bad? What law does that break if a homeowner says, you know what? I want to make it easier for buyers to buy my home. So I am going to give back whatever we agree. I'm going to give back to the buyer the commission that they have to give to their agent. I'll pay the agent direct. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's essentially what we're doing. But the problem is that we made it look like the homeowner had to do it, that there was no choice. The homeowner was giving it to me, the listing agent, and then I gave it to the selling agent. So what the real estate brokers in New York decided to do, listen, no more. If the homeowner wants to pay the broker, the selling agent, they can pay the selling agent direct, but they ain't going through the listing agent.
Right.
So now the listing agent just has to communicate or have the homeowner hire you based on the listing fee, and that's it. Which is why, again, I think it's going to help us get more listings because we're breaking it up so it looks more digestible for the homeowner. Next question, Julie.
And she says, what happens if you're already working with a buyer? How do you bring this up now?
Yeah, I would phase this in. I wouldn't change anything right now because nothing's come down yet of major changes yet, but it will. And now you just got ahead of it with this information. So don't change anything with your current buyers. But what you should do is any new buyers that you get, you need to start being better at having these conversations about buyer's agent versus becoming a client and hiring you and signing a buyer agency agreement versus being a customer where they're not hiring you. Listen, here's the first step for you. The first step for you is to get better at buyers signing buyer agency agreements. As of right now, you probably, as a buyer's agent, are going to get paid from the listing agent as part of the MLS. Again, this is the changes we're going to see are going to be like, well, I don't know if that's even true. I was going to say like the Titanic, like not like Titanic, like a cruise ship. Like if you have to turn a cruise ship, you got to know an hour in advance. Like you got to start turning now because it takes a while for that sucker to actually make the turn. Right. In other words, this won't be an overnight thing, but I don't know if that's true because like if I look at the brokers in New York, they're implementing this new change for January 1st. January 1st, no more do homeowners pay the listing agent both sides. If they're separating it starting January 1. So what was my point? Going back to what I was saying, what you need to focus on right now is just getting good at doing appointments with buyers and have buyers hire you as their buyer's agent. And in that agreement, the buyer's protecting and understanding what fee you're getting. Understanding that that fee is probably coming from the listing agent. But if there's a problem with that, they're backing you up one way or the other. That's what you've got to get good at. Next question, Julie.
Absolutely. And this Lois said the opposite side of that is the listing. Lois has a listing appointment today. What do I do?
Yeah, right now, don't worry about anything. Don't change your listing appointment now. You have to work into this. You too. Like listen. If we're honest, how long have we been on the phone? It's only been less than 2 hours. And I threw a lot of stuff. I didn't even get through it all. So this is, if you wanted to be a 5-star Michelin chef in a restaurant, that doesn't happen like in 2 hours. You know, we just started. Like I just showed you the utensils. You know, the
salad fork.
You know, right. Like we've got a ways to go yet together. So don't change your listing appointment right now. But what I promise you, what you just learned today, I'm hoping you'll have more conviction when you go on today's listing appointment why you're worth what you're worth and what you bring to the table. Right? Okay. Next question, Julie.
And it's why it's more important than ever to be part of a community, so that, because we're doing the heavy lifting, you're doing the heavy lifting. You're
Exactly.
staying ahead of it. I assume buyer agency agreements, contracts already signed will be honored. Would that make a seller's agent have to allow for sales structure allowing those contracts to be honored? I think you just covevered that just now.
I just covered that.
Yeah.
Sarah, do me a favor, Sarah. Could you publish all the wonderful power agents?
Sure.
Yeah, just publish the positive comments so that way we can just go through the questions. By the way, Eric Riley, I did see that video, and yeah, so that's all. I did see it, and that there was a video that that the plaintiff used against us of Tom Ferry interviewing, and there was some cursing, and it made our industry look really bad. And so our defense attorney didn't want it to be submitted because they didn't disclose that they were going to show. So they didn't reveal that. You're supposed to do that, right? If whatever exhibits that you're going to use in a court case, the other party has to know that you have this exhibit and you plan on using it. So if you don't do that, which they didn't, they just showed this video in the courtroom and the cat was out of the bag and it looked really bad. So our attorney said they asked for a mistrial and the judge did not honor it. So I wasn't in there. I was shocked that they would not call a mistrial on that. So, but that is really good grounds for an appeal. Yeah. So listen, wait. Here's what I can tell you. What I can tell you is that our industry is definitely changing, and we still may win this lawsuit through appeal. But even if we win this appeal, our associations, our brokers, they've all learned we've got to make some changes. So the changes are happening no matter what. And this is why we're having this conversation. To what extent, I don't know yet. I'm trying to do my part to get ahead of this for you. Next question, Julie.
Yes. Mary Ann says, lower income market can unduly hurt by the rulings if they have to pay buyer's agent commission. Is this fair or fair housing?
Yeah. So there's going to be another argument to this, which is if we don't figure out a new formula that works, which I'm trying to do here, to avoid buyers paying thousands of dollars, there's a couple of things that could happen. One thing that could happen is that buyers will not have representation anymore, and it'll be just listing agents. So buyers would just go directly to the listing agent on each house. So they would do their own research, find their own houses, call the agent. So listing agents won't ever go away. The listing agents will always be there to help manage the transaction for the homeowner. But the buyers could get hurt, where now they're just getting clerking functions. Another option could be that buyers, the agents are paid a flat fee, and it'll be maybe less attractive for high quality agents, or there'll be a place for agents that are struggling financially that, hey, to have a salary of $30,000 a year or something would be sufficient. And so they're salaried people. So there's a lot of different options that could happen. So, like I said, our industry is not going to fall apart. It's just going to pivot, and somehow we will become stronger because of it. We've been around for 200 years. We're not going extinct. So next question, Julie.
What do we say immediately when the public mentions the lawsuit, that we will be appealing and the public needs to understand the benefits we as realtors offer?
Yeah, here's what I would say. I would say, Lisa, that's a great question.
Okay.
So when somebody, it depends on what they say. So, and you want to respond accordingly. But I would say, listen, here's what I know, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, that the plaintiff's attorney got a contingent payment of $500 million, and he was in court for 2 weeks. And after he won that same day, he filed another class action lawsuit against some other real estate companies to get another $500 million. So I question his motive, because each homeowner, if the suit does not win an appeal, each homeowner is getting 10 grand, but he got 500 million. So the other thing I know is that almost 90% of all homeowners list with an agent and sell through an agent. If we did not help homeowners, if we weren't of value, if homeowners didn't make more money with us, then 90% of people would be FSBOs. And realtors wouldn't be around for 200 years. So, I wasn't in the courtroom, so I don't know, but that I do know. So
There you go.
something like that.
I think that's a whole article right there, because that's the big question everybody's asking. Why would a seller's agent work for a buyer and vice versa?
Wait, I just saw a question. I can't help but answering, Julie. Just hang on to that. Linda Thompson wants to know, how do you handle the transition to a buyer paid commission? I want to start now, LOL. Linda, very good. So Linda, what I'm going to have to do is do a special training just on the buyer side, because, what I realized today is this session just had way too much material. So I'm going to have to break it down in specific segments. And so, Linda, just stay tuned, okay? And I'll probably do that in the next 2-3 weeks. All right.
Perfect. A lot of people are asking, when does this go into effect? They're a lot of freaking out.
All right. So here's the next thing. So the next thing is the attorneys. The judge has to finalize this trial, and so the judge now has. There's a thing called, am I saying it right? Treble damages, which the judge can say, the 1.7 billion is actually going to be 3 times that, which is over 5 billion. So he has that freedom, the judge. That's number one. Number two is the judge can say, in addition to you paying that NAR and everybody else, you have to get rid of the cooperation rule that you guys have, and you have to start explaining to, like, he can give us, like, the things that I've been talking about we can do. The judge could say the industry needs to do this, and this, or he may say nothing. You pay the $2 billion. That's bad enough, and it's up to you guys to make whatever change you want. So we're waiting to hear from the judge. The judge has to make his ruling, okay? And then that ruling will have a timeline in it. You see, with Anywhere and Remax, they settled, and I don't know what their timeline is of what they promised to do, but they posted it on their websites already. So if you go to Remax's website, you'll see, hey, gang, we settled, and here's our new policy. So if you're on Anywhere or with Remax, they'll tell you how to perform now. The rest of us, we don't know what the timeline is yet. Next question.
I think we need to have a graphic where your broker is driving the bus. Kimberly says, why would a seller's agent? Oh, we did that one. Mary, can we have the buyer agent commission included as part of the offer to purchase, i.e. we offer $500,000 for your own plus X commission to be saved by the seller? We covered that, yes?
Yeah, no, here's how I would do that one. Instead of putting your commission as part of the offer, I would call the listing agent and have a sidebar conversation about that. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, attorneys do sidebar conversations all the time, and the jury has no idea what they're talking with the judge on. You still reveal it, right? So where possible, when you provide your offer, I would send a text, make a phone call, tell the listing agent, hey, because of this judgment, I'd like to discuss the commission side of it. If we can finagle that and putting it into the and share with everybody. But here's the net number to the seller. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is use our form that it's a commission agreement. So you make the offer, but the commission agreement spells out what the commission is, right? So, which means your offer would automatically include your selling commission. So you don't have to renegotiate anything. So if the ask price 500 and you say the offer is 510, but along with that, the commission agreement says, but here's how that's breaking down, So next question, Julie.
Yes. Can we replace the Power Agent logo with our brand?
Yeah. So Pam, the Power Agent logo, first of all, yes, you can. But what Power Agents are doing, I'm going to show you something here. Let me just go to my screen. But the Power Agent logo you may want to consider it something like when you get a GRI or a CRS, like when you get one of those designations. So here is the Power Agent marketing kit. What a lot of Power Agents are starting to do, because to be a Power Agent, you fall into less than 1% of agents across the world are actually Power Agents. So it's a great brand for you in getting listings and having yourself stand out. And we have all this support material for you. I want to show you this one. Well, let me just show you this. Like, you see, this is a Facebook frame that Power Agents are starting to put on their Facebook page. So that way other Power Agents find them. It also is good marketing for civilians. It says helping buyers and sellers get to their next level. We have our own code of ethics. We have an actual video that you can email to a client saying why they should hire a Power Agent and how it's different. So there's a lot of great marketing stuff. This is an example that you can show a homeowner on a listing appointment, the Power Agent advantage, and it explains what you can expect from a Power Agent. So, so my point is, you can have your name, have your company logo, and identify yourself as a Power Agent. Or you can just take it off, but I wouldn't know why you would do that. It's an advantage, the material that we've given you.
On that note, I'm sorry, just because we're talking about that, can you just show them where to get into the directory? The other advantage is to be in the directory as a Power Agent?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
So the directory, let's just go there. The Power Agent directory, here it is. We're going to be rolling out a new directory. Sarah, when are we rolling that? Hopefully next week. So we are seeing Power Agents about 5 to 7 deals a month through the directory. And so when you put yourself in the directory, if somebody's looking for a Power Agent, let's say in Philadelphia, I find Aaron. Here's all his contact information, his websites. He speaks 2 languages, English and real estate. I always do that. I love that. There's his bio. So so you get into this directory. Now, this directory is for Power Agents with Power Agents. We are planning to actually launch it to the general public and help promote Power Agents to civilians and choosing a Power Agent. So next question, Julie.
Can this program be used by a team, and how can it be customized?
It cannot. It depends on the team. So that's a yes/no answer. So it can be for a team, but each person to be called a Power Agent and participate individually, they would need their own membership. And if you contact our office, we do have what's called broker blocks, even though that's not if it's a team, that's just what we call it, broker blocks, where we blocked out a certain percentage for people. So, which will save you some money as well.
So that answers Krista's question as well. Do you have an office? Try the Power Program price for a small office and be able to share it. So Krista, yes, if you hit that chat button, I don't know if you can highlight that little blue button there.
Yeah. So when in the bottom right-hand corner, there's the chat. In the chat here is, if you want to send a message, which is what I highly recommend that you do. Our team responds in typically less than 2 minutes. And if you say, hey, listen, I'm a team leader. I've got 3 agents on my team. I'd like to know about a team pricing. In about 2 minutes, somebody will respond back to you, and you can tell them, hey, can you just call me and get on the phone call? So you can use the chat just to, it's what happens is that when you fill it out, everybody's computer in my office, there's a ding, like ding dong, like somebody's at the front door, like your Ring camera or something. And whoever is the best person to handle your question is the one that will reach out to you. In that question, as an example, if you're a broker or a team member, that would be Gail. So then Gail would respond to you and she'd say, hey, she might give you her cell number. I don't know. But you can give her yours and she'll call you and then she'll talk to you in person.
Perfect.
Next question.
Is there a flyer that shows the value of being an agent?
The value in being an agent. Let me show you the value of being an agent. First of all, a lot of the slides that I just showed you could be used that there's more, but here's one of the guides that we created. We sat down and we wrote out what are all the things that an agent does in their business. And it's downloading right now. And I came up with 184 things that we do. And this can actually be customized. It's a guide. It's a book. It's obviously a big file because it's taking a while to download. And so once that's downloaded, I'll actually show you. Let's jump to the next question. Nope, never mind. It's there. So I'm going to open that file now and enlarge this thing here. And sorry, let me do it bigger. And so here's the 184 things we do, which you can customize. And some agents say, geez, this is like this. I can do a listing presentation just on this. Some people use it as an article or as a post, social media, which by the way, that's the other thing. All of our stuff, you can use it for blog posts. You can use it in your emails. We have newsletters that we give to the power agents that we write every month. And so you have full use of everything. Let me show you this cool thing. Let's say we're in November right now and you want to think, what does the power program have for, let's say, the month of December? And so if I type in the word December, it'll show you the newsletter for December. There's the Smile Stops. Only power agents really know what that is. There's social media stuff, another Smile Stop. There's a business plan getting ready for the new year. Here's the newsletter. I'll open up the newsletter. And in this one newsletter, I'll show you how to create a video script, an email post, a social media post, and a blog post. All of those things from just this one flyer. Not flyer, but newsletter. The top 7 staging tips for selling your home during the holidays. So first of all, as a video, you could simply read this as your script. And here's how I would do this. I would say to people, and by the way, if you're not a power agent, you can do this with any of your content, what I'm telling you right now. But we write all this stuff for you. So let's say you put out a newsletter. You take the newsletter and you're sending it out to your people, right? Then you would take your phone and do a video. Hey, gang, this is Darryl Davis coming here to talk about getting to your next level in real estate. Here is this month, my December newsletter just went out. So you all should be getting it. That's on my list. By the way, if you're not on my list, if you want to click on that, just give me your address. I'd be happy to send it. What I mailed out to my clients is the top 7 staging tips for selling during the holidays. So let me just read 3 of those for you right now. Number 1 is keep the decorating neutral. Anyway, I'm reading the newsletter and it's totally okay. Now there's several things I just did there. Number 1 is I promoted people getting on a mailing list to get the newsletter. Number 2 is I have a fear of the videos. So what makes it less fearful is I'll just read the damn thing and be upfront that I'm reading it. And so those are a couple of things. Now, in addition to that, if I wanted to copy this, if I select all and hit copy, and then I go over to Facebook, let's go to Facebook here. And I'm going to go to the Power Agent Facebook so I don't really post this. So here's the Power Agent Facebook group. I click there. This is a closed group just for power agents. And, but let's pretend that I'm on my personal page or my business page on Facebook. And I want to now post the 7, where am I? Why is it not pasting? Hang on. Whoop. See, it doesn't. Oh, stop.
Grammarly's trying to help you.
Family's trying to help me. Let me see. I've got to go back to it. I didn't copy it, I guess. Hang on. December, select all, copy. Oh, I know what happened. And let me go back to this. Bada bing, there is a post now of the 7 things to do. Look at how I didn't write that. And look at how much content that is. And I could do the same thing if this was my blog post. I could do the same thing if I open up my email. I want to email to people this newsletter. So I just took one item and created multiple uses of it. The Power Program has over 800 pieces. The problem for some power agents, they'll say there's actually so much that and they love a lot of it. They don't know what to use. And so here's my message to those power agents. As I always say this, don't worry about trying to pick the right thing, because as you know, especially my experienced power agents, you know how hard my team works for you. Every morning they're waking up committed to serving you. So we really put out great stuff. So it will be impossible for you to pick the best thing. So what's more important is that you're posting something. It's more important that you're doing the video. It's more important that people, the whole thing about real estate is to have people know your name, face, and what you do for a living. The items that you use or what you do is less important to that. So don't worry about picking the right thing. Anything you pick from our classroom will be wonderful. So that's why you don't have to worry about the right thing. Just pick something and run with it. Okay, next question, Julie.
Are those newsletters extra?
I just saw a message from Oscar. Oscar, Oscar, what you should do is, all right, you don't mind, so everybody understands. So Oscar is a manager, and so I know we have other managers on this. And if you want to know, like Oscar does, about how to do that broker block or how to get your whole office into the program, just come to our website and click on the that little chat function there and put a message in there saying, hey, I'm Oscar and I'm a manager. I like to discuss a broker block, or I like to discuss a group pricing, and Gail will get in touch with you, and she'll probably get in touch with you within a couple of minutes, right? Yeah. Or Oscar, you can just put your phone number and she'll just call you direct, okay? Next question, Julie.
Sarah, will you push that offer out again? Because if you are, a lot of people are, I have a lot of brokers asking that same question actually, and they don't see the button. So you can click on that same button, the special offer button. That takes you to the site. That makes it easy. Use the chat and we will help you. Excellent. Okay. Paula, won't the comparable sales prices for a home change depending on who pays the commission?
Say that again, sorry.
Will the comparable sales prices for a home change depending on who pays the commission?
No.
Excellent. Irene, forget about sellers' incentive for buyer's agent. Let the buyers be responsible for their agent. If the buyer's contacts listing agent, then the seller's agent has to get the buyer to sign buyer's agreement. If the listing agent wants both sides to, oh my goodness. So listing agents will be contacted by buyers more, but should you make additional commission to listing agent to do both sides?
Yeah. So there was a lot in that. So I don't know if I'm getting the whole question. So hopefully I'll get it. So I think the question ultimately was if you are going to be representing the seller and the buyer, because the buyer comes directly to you, or you do an open house and buyer comes to you, what you would need to do, you're going to wind up being a dual agent. So the form that I have for you in the slides, this is the dual agent thing. I don't want to read it because I don't want to get you need to probably read it 2 or 3 times to really wrap your brain around it. So I'm going to just give you the oral version of it. You basically would sit down with the buyer and say, because this is my listing, in this case, I'm going to be representing the homeowner and you. So it's called a dual agency. And I'll be paid a commission of X amount of dollars. Are you okay with that? Now, how I work in this scenario is whatever you share with me, I don't tell my seller, and vice versa. So you all understand I'm kind of like Switzerland. If you're not okay with this, then I can assign another agent to you in the office. So that's the first conversation you have with the buyer before you bring them to the house, or before. Now, if they come to an open house, that's fine. They want to now make an offer. You stop and you have to have this conversation with them. Do you want me to represent both, or do you want me to get you another agent? If you get another agent, you work the deal out with the agent, 50%, or pay them 10%, pay them a little bit to just, do a little representation, and they get to now keep the buyer if they don't buy this house. So what I would do is, if let's say the selling side commission is 3%, I would ask another agent, can you please represent the buyer? I'll pay you 10% of my 3% to just do that representation. And if it doesn't work out, you get to keep the buyer. I think that's a great deal. And you explain this all to everybody. It's fully transparent, and they get to choose. The buyer may say, no, I'm fine with, but I don't want to pay you 3%. Say, oh, well, I'll go to the seller and make sure we can get that covered in the negotiation. Then you talk to the seller and do the same thing. I've got a buyer. I could, I can recommend another agent in the office, or I can manage both sides. It's up to you. We can have 2 chefs or 1 chef. It's up to you. Totally fine. Well, I'd rather, Darryl, you do both. Okay, fine. What I'm going to do is take the commission from the buyer's side and I'll put it into the contract price. But we'll first get your numbers. So let's see this. Let me get an offer for them and take it from there. And that's it.
You just spelled out the dialogue right there. I love it. We'll have to transcribe that.
I will tell you, power guests and power agents, this is why the coaching calls are so important on Monday, because when you have individual scenarios, and you see, now, first of all, I do some of my VIPs will tell you this. We have a VIP program where some power agents, they get coaching direct just with me. I only take on 5 at a time, and we're maxed out right now, so I can't even take any more clients. But my one-on-one coaching students, they call me anytime and say, Darryl, I got a text from one before the webinar and say, Darryl, I have this offer. It's going to be a dual agent. What do I do? They call me. I coach them through the whole thing. They have a conversation. Then they call me back. That's some real hands-on stuff. But on the Monday coaching calls, we cover this. I can cover it better. The problem with this is, Julie's reading your question. I'm trying to do my best. I may be missing the mark, but if it was having a conversation, I can help you better. So make sure you're on the Monday coaching calls is my point. Next question, Julie.
Is there role playing? So yes, you just said.
Just like I did now. Yeah.
Exactly. Gabriella tried to add her photo to the November newsletter. Can't do it. So can you just show how to get the training? So we do have a training every Thursday morning.
Well, first of all, if you have a question about something that is like a tech problem or something, you can always reach out to my team. We're not a tech training company, but if it's an easy help, we'll do that for you. But in addition to that, we have, if you go to, let me close this. If you go to this calendar in the upper right-hand corner, it's loading. This will show you our training schedule. So every Thursday we have our training on how to use the Power Program portal, how to not merge things, but how to customize a flyer or something. So Thursday is kind of like the support for the Power Program, okay? And so we have that for you as well.
And that's a live session. You can ask questions, and they're going to handle that all live as well. How do you handle dual agency? Is that a separate contract? I think you covered that, yes?
Say that again, Julie. Sorry.
How will we handle dual agency? Will we need a separate contract?
No, I just covered that. Yeah, I did.
Perfect. What about renters paying agents? Will this affect that?
No, no. No.
Janet, could a family member or non-transactional party pay buyer broker fee?
Can a family member?
Yes, or a non-transactional party pay buyer broker fee?
Don't know the answer to the non-transactional thing because I've not heard that term before. Keep in mind, again, we have different states, different licenses. If you're a power agent, if I can ask you some questions on Monday, I can give you better advice. But as far as a family member, can they pay you? Absolutely.
Awesome. Janet is a power agent, so Janet, be on Monday's call if you can, please.
But I
Bonnie,
might have answered it with that. Like it might be the
yes.
same thing that. So I can tell you, a family member, you can definitely, they can definitely pay you.
I know sometimes they get a little twisted. Okay, there's, I can't pay somebody that's not an agent, that kind of thing.
Right.
Bonnie, a cash buyer, will they pay the buyer commission by adding to the sales price? I think we covered that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can the marketing materials be edited? We said that one, Pam. We covered that one. Can you post for the article on the New York State ban? Would like to have it for my agents. Linda, I know we do have a video that Darryl did in the classroom.
Wait, what band is she talking about?
She's talking about that you can't cold call.
Are you sure? Because I read that question.
Maybe not. Linda, if you're still on the call, if you want to clarify. That came in around that time when that question came, when we were discussing
Okay,
it.
yeah, okay. So let's assume, Julie, that is the question, right? I recorded a very passionate recording about this New York do not call whatever. Julie, what do I search the classroom? What would it be? DNC?
I would do, you guys do not call or video because it's definitely going to pop up.
Here it is, DNC. Video, can you call FSBOs and expires on the do not call list? So I suggest that you watch that because I go through a plethora of reasons. There's no article. This is totally my professional opinion that's based also on a lot of law and a lot of fact. Some speakers focus on, top agents, or they focus on farming, or mine is, I don't focus on it. I'm just a master at FSBOs and expires. I am. And because that's how I built my business, and that's what I teach. And I still call FSBOs live from the stage when we do our live events. So I really research the hell out of it, and I stand behind it full that you can call FSBOs in New York. Next question.
And a lot of power agents use that video to show that to their own brokers as to why they should be able to do that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one other quick reason why is that, because I always forget this though, and it's not in the video, so I need to say this. The do not call list says you can't call and solicit, right? And solicit for business. And the dialogue that we teach is different than anybody else's dialogue. The other dialogue that's out there, it could be problematic. But the dialogue we teach power agents is you do not talk about listing. You do not talk about commissions. You don't talk about length of you don't talk any of that stuff. You just call because they're advertising and you just want to see their house. That's it. Well, I don't want to list. That's fine. I respect that. You put it in there. No brokers. I understand. But you are letting strangers into your house. You don't know if they can afford the house or free, right? Where I'm licensed by the state, I'm the safest appointment you can give. Not to mention the fact I could possibly have somebody who would be interested. I don't know yet because I want to see a house. But listen, just look at me as one of the buyers that you're letting in. Well, again, buyers, we don't know. But you're letting those people in. I'm the safest, best appointment you probably could give. Because if I have some people that I think would work for this, that's like letting 2, 3, 4 buyers in one shot who are willing to pay top dollar because they know as an agent I get paid a fee. So listen, you're smart. You don't want to list. I get it. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to waste mine. Let me come over, see what you got. Let me see if there is a way I can help you. And if not, I'll let you know the first 5 minutes I'm there. Fair enough? Good enough? Good. We're not selling. So our dialogue is not soliciting, and that's the big reason when you're a power agent, you absolutely can call people on the do not call list. Next question, Julie.
Excellent. Wayne says, is there a sign-up link for us to invite guests for the rebroadcast on Friday? So either power agent webinar or NAR lawsuit.
Yeah, NAR lawsuit.com. NARlawsuit.com. Trust me, it's out. There it is.
There it is.
Okay, next question.
Well, there you go. Phyllis says, I can't understand how this would weaken wholesale brokers when a homeowner is told that a broker is charging 1%, offering 2% to selling broker. However, if they list and also sell, it would be a total of 1%. After doing this, wouldn't that only allow them to have an edge on us with this new system? Are discount brokers going to have an edge because of
Hmm.
this lawsuit?
Hmm. Perhaps.
Good question, Phyllis.
Now, Phyllis, here's how I would address that. So let's role play this. So if I understand what Phyllis is saying, is that Darryl, because of this decoupling of the commission and stuff, that this kind of empowers the discount broker model where a homeowner just pays a flat fee or they pay 1% and they get on MLS. How would I address that? I'd say, well, Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, just like everything, you have what's, low priced items, you have high end price items. For example, I want to show, wait, it's coming to me. I'm getting it. I'm making it up as I go, as you can see, but I got it. I'm going to use one of the techniques that we have. It's going to take me too long to get to it. What's the name of the shoe? The Ferragamo, and what's the other one? Wolf or something? I have
The Ferragamo and I think it's the Wolf.
Wolf. Okay. So there's two shoes. There's the Wolf shoe, the black lace up shoe, and Ferragamo.
It's in the classroom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's just do the classroom here.
Go to objection handlers.
Okay. Let me go watch this. Okay. So I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to do it the power agent way.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go to objection handling. Okay. And let me find this.
Go to slides.
Yeah. So
there we go.
Slides. Okay. So.
Oh, don't tell me it's not in the classroom.
Yeah. Watch. It's not there. Oh, it's not there, Julie.
Shoot.
So shooty. So let me just do it the way I was going to do it. So Ferragamo shoe and the Wolf shoe. They both look very similar, but the Wolf shoe is like $170, where Ferragamo, is it Ferragamo or Ferragamo? Ferragamo. Those shoes, that's like $1,200. So which shoe costs more? You would say the Ferragamo, but actually not, because the Wolf shoe, they only last like a year. So if you multiply 100, like in about 10 years, the Ferragamo shoe is now paying for itself. The reason why is because of the quality. And the same is true when it comes to marketing. See, there is a pool of money that we use. Watch this. There's a pool of money. When you hire me and you pay me, I'm going to use me just use 2% as an example. Mr. Mizhana, it may seem like double from the other broker that's 1%. But here's what I do with that 2%. There's two places it goes. One is my profit, because I'm in this to make a profit. I have a family to feed. The other is my marketing to promote your house. Now, if let's say this broker is charging 1%, which is half, they have the same concept. So they're either taking that 1% difference from their family, the money that they need to feed their family, which I don't think they are. They're still going to want to make the same profit to feed their family. So where is that other shortage? Where's that other 1% coming from? It's coming from the marketing. The very thing that you need to sell your house for the highest possible price. Now, some of these brokers, they'll tell you, well, I'm not going to market it. You pay 1% just to get on the MLS. They're not doing open houses. They're not negotiating for you. They're not representing you. They're mailing you a sign. Whereas me, that extra 1%, I'm using it to do open houses, to do on the websites, and you go through your stuff. So you get what you pay for. So it looks like you're saving, but like on the Wolf shoe, but you're actually losing money. You get what you pay for. That's just one example. I don't know if that was a good one. It was I just did that quick. I wasn't prepared for that, to do that one. So
I love that. Meanwhile, Sarah's already scrambling to get the shoe slide on the side.
She's getting the shoe slide.
The shoe slide.
I'm going to show you why I'm here, though. I'm going to say something. How many people are still on the call? Listen, I've got to show you something. The important ones. I'm going to show you guys, being that you're still here, I'm going to show you something that is a gift for you because you stayed. I was talking about my son, right? Over here. And the part that I skipped over that I wanted to tell you is this. See this objection handling? Oh no, I'm
Nope.
sorry, you can't
I'm
see
not.
it. Sorry. So when I talked about my son, right? About the guy around the corner, and my son knows the guy before it's even there. When I would do my live, when I do my live seminars, and I'm standing in front of an audience, I'll ask him this question: when you're on a listing appointment, how many objections do you think there possibly are from a homeowner? You know, like I have a friend in the business, the other broker said they'll do it for less commission, you know, all those, right? How many do you think there are? And usually what I get is there's millions, right? However many people there are on the planet, billions, that's how many objections there are. Well, what I did, because this is the trainer in me, is I sat down and I said, I want to write out every possible objection that we get from a homeowner. I have a friend in the business. I don't need an agent. I've sold things before. I'll give you a 30-day listing and then I'll extend it if you're doing a good job. So I wrote it all out. And you know what I came up with? There's only 14. So now what I did at the trainer in me is I took the 14 and I came up with different metaphors and analogies to handle each one of those. Because I didn't talk about this yet, but our training is not memorized scripts, it's metaphors and analogies. Like when I use the chef analogy, I can't remember some of the analogies I did. Watch this. How I handled the attorneys for the plaintiff, I used the attorney as the metaphor on how we're not breaking antitrust laws. If we were, they are. Do you see how I did that with the bashing the attorney? I didn't mean to bash it, but I was using attorneys as the metaphor. So what's great about that concept is that when you hear a metaphor, you don't have to memorize a script. Like once you hear it the first time, like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, I just did it with the wolf and the Ferragamo shoe. There's a metaphor. So I created a whole series, and we used to sell this for $100. That's what that price is, $197. I mean, we still sell it. Power agents, they get it for free. Hang on, let me show you. So power agents, when you click on the objection handling arsenal, there is the entire audio program. It's 3.5 hours. And then there's a workbook. So power agents, you get that, you know, power agents don't pay for extra stuff. Everything is given to them. It's opening up the workbook now.
And everybody that left early, they don't even know about that.
They don't even know about that. But now here's why I'm telling you this is important and why I wanted to say it during the thing is because of this lawsuit, it's now probably going to be 20 objections on a listing appointment. Like for the first time in my being in this business for over 30 years, there's going to be new objections where I've got to now sit down. Let me show you this. This is how the thing works. See, save the commission. There's 5 metaphors. We can do a better job. There's 10 metaphors. Bring me a buyer and then I'll pay you a commission. There's 3 metaphors. And then it tells you what page number. And there's the professional metaphor. There's the coupon cutter metaphor. There's the art of negotiating. This is my favorite one, the directors. So there's over 50 metaphors and analogies. And the thing is, when you hear it once, the visual is really a cheat sheet for you to remember the director's technique. Now, my point in why I was going to say this today, that I didn't get to it, is what I just said. Because of this lawsuit, I now have to create new metaphors for new objections that I know you guys are going to have on the listing appointment. So that's yet to come now. Okay. Okay. Next question, Julie.
So Eric was, I love what he just said. He said, the guy around the corner equals the line over the hill.
Yes, exactly.
Villa, right?
That's the other one. And by the way, watch this. When I used my son about playing video games on how he knew about the guy around the corner, and in real estate, we have the same thing. There's the guy around the corner, and we have to be prepared. That's a metaphor on using metaphors.
And why are those so important, Darryl?
And
Because
that's
they
why
are
they're so important.
connectors, right?
Right. And this is why, listen, this is why power agents love this, because unlike the power agents, tell me if this is true for you. A lot of them may be working now. They had enough of me today, but if they're still on the call, tell me if this is true. That the beauty about our training is that the problem I have with memorized scripts is, first of all, somebody who wrote that script, more times than not, they never been in front of a real seller. They never really listed and sold. They heard it sounded good, they put it on there. God bless them. But the other problem with that is that dialogue is not your words. It's whoever wrote that, that's them. Like that be your style. So now you're trying to be something you're not, and then you come off inauthentic, and people can tell when you're inauthentic. You look at me, I'm not the best trainer. You know, I almost sometimes curse by mistake. Sometimes I make bad jokes. I go into my New York Italian dialogue. I get angry. You know, I say things inappropriately sometimes. I'm not the best, but here's what I will friggin' tell you. I'll always talk from my heart. I'll always be honest with you. And because that's what I expect power agents to do, because it's just more real and honest. And this is why I'm so pissed off about this lawsuit, because, you know, they got us wrong. I believe agents are people who are committed to making a difference. They love real estate. They love people. They want to serve people. They want to help people. The money is a friggin' gauge. I mean, if you're going to take time away from your family, you friggin' should get paid for that time. You got a mortgage to pay. You got bills to pay. Why would you begrudge us? We're not, you know, but it's okay for you to make $500 million for 2 weeks in court. So anyway, I want you to be more real. You know what? I want to put real back in the real estate. Be real, be authentic. So we don't teach scripts. Only on the telephone we teach scripts, because that's different, because it's only 7 minutes. And then I don't want to get into it. You learn the script so you can throw it away and talk from your heart. It's more of a security blanket. But when you're on listing appointments, no, metaphors and analogies, baby. And you'll have more fun. Anyway, we got a lot of work to do. If you're a new power agent, we have a lot of work to do. So make sure you're signing up and be with me. All right, what else?
Diane says, I am now an official power agent. Thank you for being an amazing coach and trainer and sharing your time and talents.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Javier wants to know if you've lost weight. He has, Javier.
I have lost weight.
Betsy said, I'm joining right now.
Listen, I swear to God to you, now I'm really talking real. Now I feel like your family. When you stay on the call for 2 hours, you're now family. So you're no longer just somebody.
Does that mean they have to do the dishes? You know, in my family, you know, when you get past being a guest, you got to help clean up. You know.
Listen, I went to bed last night at 10 o'clock, and this is really 3 o'clock. This was this morning, what you're seeing here, and I couldn't go back to sleep. I got dressed. I went to the office, and I added new slides because this was pissing me. I was getting so angry because
picking you off.
Well, it was upsetting me, because this is what the civilians see now. It's the words liable, inflated, conspired, guilty, colluded. This is what the news people did with this, because this gets clicks. And I'm telling you, we got a black friggin' eye. Now, it doesn't mean the sky is going to fall, like I said. Every time that we had major stuff happen, we came out of it stronger. This is, you know, if I give, for instance, you know how this is going to make us stronger? We got to be really crystal clear about our value.
Yes.
We've got to not talk about our value. We got to feel our value. Now we've got to really feel it, so that way we're communicating that on the listing appointment. That's an example on how this is going to make us better. When you talk to a buyer, you're not chauffeuring no more. You got to really communicate to that buyer. Do you want to be my client, or do you want to be a customer? If you want to be a client, you need to sign this and hire me. Now, here's what I will do for you. This is what I promise you. I'm okay if you don't want to, but then you're a customer. Like, we got to get so friggin' skilled at communication. Let me tell you something. Our business is 90% communication. When you're on a listing appointment, you're communicating. When you're prospecting, you're communicating. When you're trying to save a deal that's on the edge of falling apart, you do that through communication. When you're talking to a buyer for the first time, you're coaching them. It's communication. When a buyer wants to change their mind and they have buyer remorse, you coach them through this. Communicate. 90% of this business is communication. There's no winging it. There's no, I feel, let me just show some houses. We've got to get skilled, baby. I was talking to one of my VIPs about one of my favorite shows. I think it's on Netflix, Bear. Or is it on Hulu? What's that, hon?
I love that show.
Bear. I think it was on Hulu, though. Yeah, about the chef.
Yeah.
This guy's a famous chef, and I'm going to go through the whole story. But watching that, my wife used to be a pastry chef, so we use a lot of cooking analogies here and pastry. Food analogies here at Smile headquarters. And, watching this show and the chef, like it's like they're not cooking, they're creating. They're not cooking, they're creating. There's a love that gets expressed in the food. And we need to do that more. I think a lot of us got into the business to be a master chef. And then we get bogged down with the noise. Oh, I got to do video. I've got to have a social media You don't got to do nothing. You got to be passionate. That's what you got to do. There's no one road to real estate. It's the road that you can be passionate about, commit to, and be consistent. That's the secret sauce, is consistency. And if you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to be consistent. So does this help in any of this? Is not part of the webinar. We are way past the webinar. Whatever the hell I was supposed to say is done.
Well, on that chef analogy, this is also like a smorgasbord. There is a lot to this program, but you shouldn't try to eat everything on the buffet, right? You should pick and choose. So don't get overwhelmed with it, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, let me show Julie the thing here. So when you are experienced power agents, you need to do this too if you haven't been doing this. This is where am I? Onboarding. This here is called onboarding. And what the onboarding is, it's a training program to be a Stella power agent. It walks you through 8 modules on how to get up and running, not just as a power agent, but as a successful agent. That number 1 is still there, Julie, the credentials.
Sarah?
Click here to download your power agent branding tools. So now when you accomplish any of these tasks, you give yourself a score. And when you give yourself a score, then your points go up. And so if I click on here, head over to the power agent branding tool. When I go there, it actually brings me to the part of the Power Program website where the branding tools are, and there you go, you see. So then you look at your branding tool. We have a code of ethics. I'm going to tell you, power agents, if there's one thing for you to do, you got to watch this video that we recorded for you. And Sarah, if you can make a note to upload this into Big Marker, this video, so that way the audio can play, because if I play it now, you won't hear the audio. I don't have it. It's hooked up right today, but it's a really good PR video. And if you had a choice of hiring an accountant, watch, here comes another metaphor, gang. Mr. and Mrs. Hanahana, if you had a choice of hiring just a regular accountant to do your taxes or a CPA, if it didn't cost you any different, it both was the same, which would you hire, the regular accountant or the CPA? The CPA, yeah, of course, because you get a better trained accountant is what that is. Well, that's what a power agent is. See, every licensed agent is good because you have to be licensed, but a power agent, that falls into a 1% category of all agents in the country are called power agents. It's an ongoing training constantly on how to serve our clients better to help them get to their next level in life. There's an analogy, bada bing. Now, this video talks about that. It's really a great video. So if you have not seen the Power Agent demo video, client congratulation video, you send it after, or you can actually do it before they hire you and show it on a listing appointment. Anyway, check it out. Okay, Next question, Julie.
Marcia says, what would you suggest as far as staying on top of any new developments regarding this ruling? Visit NISAR on a daily basis. Well, we're covering it every Monday and Wednesday, I think.
Yeah,
Marcia.
if you're
Yes.
a power agent, we got you covered on that. Anytime I read something, I'll show you something else. See, you guys are getting all the good stuff that you state. Because let me go to my slides for today. I want to show you. So these articles, you see all these headlines that I showed you in the notes section of the slides. There's a link to every one of what?
I said, look at you with all the links, live links.
Yeah. So wherever possible, let me show you another one. Let me see here. Let me see here. Is it here? No. I'm trying to think where I might have done some other links. Where there was an article or something, I would, yeah, it's not a lot in here. So wherever I found an article or something, I put the links in there for you too. Okay. So
You
always
put it
check
in the
those.
Facebook group. You're really good about that. You put anytime you see something new, you put it in the Facebook group.
Exactly. So we'll keep you up to date. And plus we have the hub. We have the hub for you. Where's the hub? Well, let me just, sorry again.
That's okay. Sarah, we may need to put a link to that in the classroom as well. That would make it easy.
Yes, there is a link to the hub in the classroom, actually.
Fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't know where it is. So, but here is in the classroom, here is the hub for power agents that goes through a whole bunch of videos. And because what happens, like a lot of these videos, I did it on the weekend because I was so pissed off. I had a vent and I went through all those analogies and the attorney, and I shared some of that with you today. So that's all there. And then there's the tools that I talk about. That's access for you. All this is part of Power Agent. This is all part of the 67. So, you're covered, man.
And even the 10. So if you're just brand new, that's part of that.
Oh, yeah. $10. That's a deal for now.
It's a steal for now.
It's a steal for now.
Mark says, good stuff. Makes us think about being better and doing better. I love that, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ed says, I remember well the excitement of being a brand new member, and 4 months in, I still feel that way. I'm enjoying working with clients way more than ever. Thank you, Darryl, and your team.
Yeah, let me tell you something. The Power Agent motto is this. Like we have a ditty. It's Power Agents don't sell people. We serve people. And Power Agents don't close people. We coach people. That's important. See, you don't have to close a buyer. Buyer has to choose to buy. You guide them. You coach them through the process. You don't need to close a seller. You need to coach a seller. So if you believe in you and you believe in our industry and what we do, you don't have to sell them. This sells itself when you speak passionately and let them choose to hire you. Anyway, next question.
You'll feel more authentic and courageous and confident when you take that on. Oh, she did sign up. So welcome, Deborah. Welcome to the program. Ron says, how about charging?
Wait a second. I gotta, not one, but it was, so Allison Hoffman sending hugs. I just saw this, Allison, she said, gotta run, re-signed up. You are as inspiring as ever. Not sure how long I will hang in there all right. So she's got some personal stuff. So anyway, Allison, congratulations. I can't wait to chat with you on the Monday call. Man, this is so exciting. Okay. Allison, Julie, she's a former Power Agent from the original program, but I don't know how long ago. I'd have to look it up. It's got to be at least 15 years, at least, from maybe 20 years from Chicago. So, yeah, she's a great Power Agent. And she used to go do testimonials for me too. Yeah, she's a great lady. So, all right, again, next question.
Right now, agents that have been on kind of autopilot and working their business, now they realize they need new skills and new training and new tools, and that's what we're here for, right?
Oh, geez, she just answered me. She said 20. She said she has to run, but 25 years. It was 1998.
Wow.
Listen, just so you all know, yeah, I've been in the business for 35 years. I dye my hair. I'm just honestly telling you.
I can
Well, see, you guys, you're staying this long. You're getting all the behind the
the
scenes.
nitty gritty. We're in the nitty gritty now.
Yeah, this is stuff I would not normally share. No, this is you could always check. Like, I need a little touch up over here. So
That's hilarious.
it's
But I wish
true.
this was all available when I first started, right, Bud? Me too. Ron's got 2 questions. Will dual agency be a thing of the past after this case?
No, I think dual agency will still be in place. It'll just be more communication, more transparency. You know, if here's how we should watch this. This is how we should think of it. We should think, if I were going to get sued, did I handle this the right way? I mean, I don't want you to get too crazy about that, because some people they take that and they'll wind up doing nothing. So what I mean is, if you completely transparent buyer, I ain't anything. I can't. Dual agency means a Switzerland. So anything you tell me, I'm not going to tell the seller. But anything the seller tells me, I'm not going to tell you either. So there's a little bit of disadvantage, because you won't know what the other one is doing. But if you have another agent, that still may not happen. There is an advantage to having one chef creating this meal versus having 2 chefs bumping into each other. But you have to decide. By the way, you see how I just did another analogy?
Another analogy.
So, but I want you to decide. You decide whatever you're comfortable with. And then they sign a form that says, I understand that Darryl's getting both sides and he's making this amount of money and he's making out good, but I still want him to be my agent on the buyer side. And the same thing with the seller. As long as you're fully transparent, where's the lawsuit? What did you hide? They chose. They had another choice. They had an alternative. They weren't locked in. They weren't pressured. That's all. This is what we're creating for you guys.
Well,
And listen, let me tell you, listen, here's one other thing. I just want to be clear with you all. This is an expression I used during the pandemic. The expression I used during the pandemic was when it first happened, March of 2020. That was the last live seminar I had done during the pandemic. And we started doing weekly. So we used to do monthly seminars. So we quickly went to weekly. I created a weekly session with all the ed directors from all the boards of realtors. Every week we were on a call. Every week I was on with power agents. And here was the saying I always use. Listen, we're flying a new airplane while we're building it at the same time. Meaning, we don't know what the hell we're doing here. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And that's where we are now. You know, my team, they created all this stuff, this new stuff, these new forms, this new material, listen, some of it may not be good. Maybe I make some mistakes. Maybe I say inappropriate things. Maybe I did a wrong line somewhere. Maybe even a legal mistake. Maybe. But this is the frontier of where we're giving birth to a new industry together. So we'll work on it. We'll figure it out. My point is, you're not alone. My point is, I got 35 years of knowledge here that kind of helps us navigate it. It would be like if you were doing this alone, trying to figure it out, you'd be in a dark room full of furniture, trying to get from one door to the other to get out with no flashlight. With us, you're in the dark room, there's furniture, but there's a flashlight, and we're going to navigate it together. We'll figure it out. We'll find the switch. We'll turn the light on, and it'll all be beautiful again. All right. Another analogy, by the way.
That was a beautiful analogy. I love
So-
it. Well, and that's why it's so important to be part of something bigger right now, because it is going to be scary if you're navigating it all alone, in the dark, in a room with no flashlight. So
Listen, let me do a little extra thing. You should see my son when he talks to me. This kid, the apple does not fall far from the tree.
it makes you cry.
He's always using analogies. This kid. Let me give you one. I'll give you an example, and then I'm going to say something to you all. He said to me once, because he sees how I raised him. That's how I raised my son. Let me give you the science behind the metaphors and analogies and why they work so well, and then I'm going to give you a homework assignment. The reason why metaphors and analogies work so well is because when you hear the metaphor analogy, you can relate to it differently because you have maybe a personal experience in your own life similar to that. So let's use the dark room with no lights on. We all can relate to that sometimes when we come home or we in the middle of the night, we want to go to the kitchen and there's a part of the room where even though it's our own house, it's dark and we have to go blind for like a few feet until we get to the light switch. So we all can. So when I use that analogy, you're not just hearing it, you're feeling it because it's bringing those similar memories of experience connected to the message. That's why metaphors and analogies work so well. So when I was raising my son, anytime I wanted to teach him a life lesson, I would use a metaphor that he could understand. So I use Xbox a lot, his games a lot, his coach and his football to teach him these life lessons. So one time we're driving in the car and he says to me, he says, Dad, I'm thinking about my Xbox, how good I am. Cause he still is really good at it. And he said, my teacher said he used that as an analogy on how when you learn Xbox, it's like learning a new language, like learning Spanish or something. And I said, yeah, that's pretty good. And then he says to me, he says, Dad, I hear you train agents. It's like you're teaching them a new language on how to be real estate agents. I'm like, yeah. So anyway, what the hell was my point? Oh, my point was this. I was a proud father talking for a minute. My point is this. Do you see these questions that are coming up? And I'm keep coming up with these metaphors because that's the best way I know to train you. What I want you to do when you get off this call, I want you to think when you're interacting with anybody that you want to communicate a message. Whether it's your spouse, whether it's an appointment, whether it's your manager, whether it's a friend, I want you to pause for a minute and think, what analogy can I use to convey my point as an example? If you start doing that in your day-to-day life, you will master this. Power agents say, boy, Darryl, you're so good at this. You've been in real estate for 35 years. It's not the 35 years helps, but it's my commitment to asking myself the question, how can I use an analogy here? And the more you do it, the more skilled you become at that. Mm-hmm. Did that help anybody? That was totally extra. I don't even know when I've ever even taught what I just taught. So, by the way, this is how the coaching calls are.
Yes.
What that's Julie?
I said, absolutely, it is.
Yeah. When you bring a question to the coaching call, that's how I coach. I'm like, all right, how can I use a metaphor to give to you to go use on an appointment? There's no training like this. There's no training like this because you will learn how to think on your feet. You'll learn to think on your feet. Okay.
Well, and
Julie,
it takes it out of their head, right? You say that often when you're not trying to memorize a script or use a script or be that salesperson like that, where you're not listening to the other person. It's amazing. Like, I love what Calvin just said. This makes me feel like I have hope now. So,
you know what? I just saw that. I was just going to read that. Calvin, thank you so much for saying that you feel like you have hope. Calvin, I'm going to tell you, every power agent, you are not alone. We've got your back. We are committed to your success. And let me tell you why. Because what you do is much more than list and sell real estate. You really do make a difference in people's lives. And screw the attorney to belittle us at any level. It's horrible what he argued. So don't look, just like I said in the beginning, when you guys get this video, I want you to watch the beginning of this training today about when I got all twisted about how you make a difference. It's important that you keep that in your heart, that you are not an accident. You make a difference in the world, and know that you're worthy. You're worthy. All right. That's the message today. All right.
And you're going to need to feel that. You're going to need to be part of a community that reminds you of that every week right now. So for sure. All right, let's go back to some of these questions.
Wait,
Joe?
Eric just said, hey, I got to read this. Eric did you just publish it? Yeah.
No.
Oh, there it is. Eric, thank you, Darryl. I hung in there as long as I could. I got to go to work now, but hearing your dye hair was worth staying for. LOL. Now listen, don't anybody tell about that was just for the special group. You guys about the dye hair. Don't tell anybody
right.
else.
Only you guys who stayed so long. That's up to that's you. That's you, all you. I love it. Thank you for
Kathy just said, I missed some of this, but just signed up. I get a recording? Kathy, yes. all power agents get the recording and get this copy of the slides. And Kathy, you're in for a ride, baby. You're going to get a whole bunch of other stuff too that if you don't know. So yeah, $10, great deal, but stay with us for life. Okay. Go ahead, Julie.
I love it. It's so great and so helpful. I need to go. I need to go. Thank you. Amazing and insightful. Let's go back to some of these questions. If the case is an appeal, does it stay the findings? I don't know if you covered that or not. I think that'll depend, right?
So let me read that again. What is it?
Linda says, if the case is in appeal, does that stay the findings?
Oh,
We did say, yeah, it'll take a couple years maybe.
It stays the payment, right? So the award amount doesn't get paid until it's in appeals. But I think the judge could still make some immediate rulings that would have to be implemented. I'm not sure on that. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not sure on that. But we'll find out. We'll find that out in a few days. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Next question.
What are your thoughts on buyer customer wanting to put an offer on your own listing, open house, sign call? Last week you suggested referring it to another agent. Is that still what you're suggesting?
All right. Say that first part again.
What are your thoughts on a buyer customer wanting to put an offer on your own listing? It was an open house call. Last week you suggested referring it to another agent.
Yeah, I still believe that, even more so.
Perfect. I think transparency is the key word here and everything, right?
Yep.
Is there a national guideline for MLS? For instance, in Jack's Metro, our contract states that the commission is between the seller and the brokerage pays the other agent. All of this is disclosed in listing agreement and settle statement. I don't think anything in the lawsuit applies here.
No, that's not true. It very much does apply. It's that very rule is the basis of this lawsuit, if I heard that correctly. So, first of all, there is no national MLS. Every MLS operates differently, so they have different rules. Some MLSs have got into practicing law by giving commissions or saying how commissions should be paid. Some of the MLSs now are saying, you know what, we're pulling out of that. We're not telling agents how they should pay each other anymore. Bright MLS is an example of that. I would anywhere and Remax both say, if the MLS gives you a commission agreement or gives you a contract, or the board gives you a real estate contract or a commission agreement to use, anywhere and Remax are saying, we recommend you using your own. So there's a lot of changes in this respect. So again, as we learn how to fly the new airplane and build it at the same time, together we're going to work on this. I've created not contracts for you, but commission agreements to help with the transparency. And if you read it and you say, I think it should be tweaked, or you have a question about it, you let us know. One of the things that experienced power agents will tell you, we really do listen to our power agents. And when you say you need something, we started this program with only like 200 flyers and checklists. Now we're over 800 because every time a power agent says, do you guys have like a letter for people in foreclosure? I'm like, no, we don't, but that's a good one. Let's create it. So we really do listen to our students. They'll tell you that. And we're very responsive, and we'll be that like my team, like we see like the industry is in there's a problem now with this lawsuit. And so we want to step up to help any of our students through it. So we're here for you. Next question.
I don't know. Just you saying that makes me want to share this. We've got members of our team who have only been with us a year or 2 years and don't have the real estate experience as some of us, and they are so mad for you guys. Like it's hilarious to see how just they're so passionate for you and how they're definitely team agent.
Now listen, is a past, my wife, she is a past realtor, and she came into the office and she saw the work that I was doing, and I was showing her some of the things, and she's like, she doesn't get pissed. And sometimes she disagrees with me because she's a buyer's agent, always was never a listing agent. So sometimes we have these heated things, and she's right with me. She's like, this is horrible. And she's angry at this attorney. Anyway. All right,
She's
next
always
question.
the one telling you to tone it down, but she's
the one to say, yeah,
she
exactly.
gets fired up. She's fired up. I'm just saying.
Exactly. She's usually the one that says, calm down. You didn't say that on the webinar, did you? And but this morning she was like, "Mother, go get him!" So that's
Fighting
probably why I
mad.
was a little juiced up extra today. All right, go ahead.
I love what Debbie just said. I'm on a team, and my other teammate talk about this lawsuit all the time, trying to stay on top of it. I told her how Darryl Davis keeps us up to date constantly. We have coaching calls, and she's now going to join. No one in my brokerage or state is even talking about this. So thank you so much for keeping us informed and educated. Thank you, Debbie. I love that.
Thank you,
said
Debbie.
that.
Yeah, thank you.
I love it. Back to the question. Will no comp for VA loans cause a new discrimination issue? Oh, that's an interesting question, Tiffany.
For VA, yeah, that's why when that question came up before, I mean, this creates a new problem now, right? So if it decouple, like this is an answer I don't have on this, because if the homeowner shouldn't or can't pay both agents when there's two agents involved and the selling agent has a VA buyer, yeah, how is that buyer's agent going to get paid? Because they can't work for free. So does that mean they don't work with VA buyers? And is that discriminatory? So there's a piece to this that needs to be figured out. And we'll figure it out, but I don't know what it is yet.
I think there's a lot of discrimination tones on here, including towards the agents, right? Mm-hmm. And buyers agents and buyers, exactly. Mm-hmm. Mark, what do you see happening if the buyer wants to use another agent after you showed them and they want to buy your listing? So we heard that a couple of times, how to if they want to bypass their agent and go to the listing agent.
Well, okay. So first of all, you should not, I don't know if that's the question, Julie, because so it could be two things. He's saying that if you've worked with the buyer and they decide they want to buy this listing, but they don't want you as the agent, I'm assuming it's because it's a dual agent thing. Like they want another agent if it's your listing and you've been working with them as a buyer as well. In that scenario, I covered that you would, in that scenario, you would just, if you were the listing agent and it's your buyer and your buyer says, I want to buy your listing, but I don't want you to represent me and your homeowner. So you would give that buyer to an agent in your office and you would just negotiate a commission with that agent. And I would give them a lesser amount because it's your buyer and you're giving it to them. And what I would do is not just for the one deal. I'd say, no problem. If we can't work this out, I can come back to you, or you can just work with that agent. I'm fine with whatever you want. And I would tell the agent, if you win them over, you can keep them. So that's how you would do that. If it's the other version, which is you're working with this buyer, you're showing them property, and then they try to backstab you and go directly to the listing agent, not work with you. Well, that's covered in the buyer agency agreement because you should not work with buyers anymore unless they hire you as a buyer's agent. So that's where I think our industry is going to go. There's no more showing buyers that don't hire you. That's how I think where we're going. So next question.
Yvonne says, do you think the settlements that Anywhere and Remax did could be rejected due to what happened yesterday?
Ask it again.
Do you think the settlements that Anywhere and Remax did could be rejected due to what happened yesterday?
No, they've already been accepted, signed, sealed, and delivered. There's no going back on those on either side.
You should have
settled.
been an attorney.
Totally settled.
You would have been a great attorney, Darryl. I'm just saying. Mark says Florida prohibits dual agency because it's impossible for a real estate agent to act in the best interest of. So that's just a statement. Okay. Suzanne on Long Island, getting my CE laid up from surgery. I want to take a buyer agency. Any recommendations for how this date with the lawsuit way of handling things was planning on taking class? I think we covered most of that, Suzanne.
Yeah. So Suzanne, Suzanne, if you want to take a CE class because you need a CE class, Long Island Board of Realtors and Mary Ann Monteleone, the education director there, is one of the best in the entire United States. I know she's always offering programs for the members for CE, so you're good there. As far as this specific thing, when it comes to buyers and buyer agency and how to do that, that's going to be part of our training coming up, where I'm going to just talk about how to talk to buyers, how to get them to sign the agreement, explaining the whole process. This training today was honestly just covering both buyers and the listing appointment and the lawsuit update. So it was a lot of stuff today, but we're going to break it out. Like, here's just the listing appointment. Let's talk about that. Here's the buyer appointment. Let's talk about that. So those are coming up.
And yeah, so we're gonna adopt and adapt the things that we're teaching everybody based on what's happening up to the moment, right?
Yeah, Julie, which, by the way, we didn't talk about. So Sarah, you with me, Sarah?
I am.
So we should do the upcoming sessions. Like, we need to look at the calendar again. I think we should have just a listing appointment webinar, a buyer just appointment in the context of the lawsuit. So, because there's too much for me to cover on this topic together like this. So I think we could be moving towards that. Okay.
Sure. Break it down per topic. Yes.
Yeah, because that's why this training is going so long today, because it's just too much.
Well, I think a lot of people have a lot of fear too, right? So they've got a lot of
questions. They're all good.
They're good questions,
and they're great questions that we need to go really deep. All right, let's just look at the buyers from start to finish. How do we get the question? How do we get them to sign the buyer agent? What are your questions about that? Let's work through it. Let's create new analogies for the buyer. Like, let's master the buyer side of it, and then we'll do the seller side of it. All right, let's go on with the questions, gang. Go ahead.
I agree. Helen says, my broker presently requires agents to use the Tennessee real estate forms filled in with the brokerage's name and license numbers. What is your experience with using and or inserting the power agent forms? So the ones we created.
Well, same thing. You've got to do, your broker's the boss. So whatever your broker decides, that's what you have to do. I will say, like, part of the evidence that the plaintiff's attorney used were commission listing agreements already filled in with commission amounts. One of the techniques I used to teach was one of the examples they used from Home Services, or was it Gino that did that? They had a video on it. Anyway, it was you went on a listing appointment and the homeowner choose 6, 7, or I think it was 5, 6, 7. Like, it had the commission amounts already in.
Mm-hmm.
And the homeowner had to circle one, and they use that against. So pre-filling out forms is not a good idea anymore. So,
okay,
I think. Anyway, my point is, your broker has to decide. So here's the thing: like, if your broker has not been on this training, there's different brokers, there's different boards. At different levels. Now, the boards will get caught up much quickly. Let me tell you an example. I had a Coldwell Banker agent who sent me an email saying, Darryl, really love you, but I think you're misquoting facts, and it's business as usual for us. And it was that slide I created for you that said business was for usual for Blockbuster and BlackBerry, because of that agent email that I got. Because anybody that thinks that it's business as usual only means you're uninformed, and you're gonna be left without a chair when the music stops. So, so your broker, if they say business, don't do anything right now, it's because they don't know enough right now. So I encourage you to show them this training, Power Agents. Show them the video and bring them up to speed. Because it'll make our business better, period. Anyway, let's go on to the next question.
Well, and share these, every week. We're here every Wednesday, and now more than ever, it's important for your brokers and your colleagues and your business that's important to you to be informed in this.
Yeah.
Helen says, effective immediately when an agent looks at a listing in the MLS, will she not see a notation regarding a commission?
Yeah, read these slower for me.
I'm sorry. effective immediately, when an agent looks at a listing in the MLS, will he or she not see a notation regarding a commission?
As of right now, first of all, it depends on what MLS you
Yeah.
belong to. But most likely, nothing will change immediately. So you won't see any changes yet. See,
Perfect.
because let me explain something to you. Okay. Anybody that was in the lawsuit that just had the judgment against them today, they don't have to make any immediate changes right now because they already lost. The judge has to say, here's what you're actually going to pay. And then we're going to appeal it. And then we'll have years to make decisions. So anybody that was listed, except for Anywhere and Remax, they already settled. They made their decision, whatever that is. Some of it I shared with you. So it's not going to happen quickly. Now, there's people like Douglas Elliman and Compass. They're in a new lawsuit. They are probably going to start making changes very quickly to go to court and argue, well, that was true, but we've learned, we're making changes. So it's all over the place right now. So listen, I think what you should do is always stay close with your broker on this. You can't make your own independent decision without them being a part of it. And what you need to really do, if I were going to summarize it, what you need to do is get really great at having buyer agency conversations so buyers hire you, and get really good at looking how you can communicate commission to a seller different than how you've been doing it. And that's what we need to do right now. And that's why I want to do those dig in deep sessions with you on just the listing appointment and the buyer appointment. Okay, next question, Julie.
I love it. And I think this is where it's really important for you guys to be on the Monday call, because you are going to have specific questions to you, right? Into what's happening with your situation. Darryl, can you Susan is asking, how do I find the new things on the site? Can you just show them the search one more time? I'm sorry. Because you said
if you go to
even November or whatever, like just show them how because the search is your best friend, guys. Like Darryl said, we have over 800 things, but don't get overwhelmed. If you think you need it, ask the search first, because we probably have it, is my question. Thanks, Susan.
Okay, we're going to finish up this webinar. So if you're a guest, Sarah, push that out again. Make sure you guys sign up now, because we're going to come to a close, because I think the company that we use for this, they're going to tell us what happened. Why are you guys still on? It's supposed to be an hour. What am I searching, Julie?
I've just searched November for right now, just to show them that the search is your best friend.
The search is your best friend. November. Here's all the stuff for November. There's your November calendar. There's your November newsletter. There's your social media posts. There's our November magazine. Should I show them the magazine? I'll show them the magazine.
It just went live, I believe.
Yep, it just went live. This is every month we do a Power Agent magazine that's loaded. It's really shouldn't be called a magazine. It doesn't do it justice. It's actually a training book that has great content, great articles, hyperlinks, wherever there's a link somewhere. Hey, if anybody needs a mortgage expert, this is the guy. He's in, I don't know how many states. He's all over the country. He's my personal mortgage guy. There's an interview. There's live videos in there. That's Annette Mina, top agent with Douglas Elliman. She was one of the first power agents ever in 1993. Anyway, this is how much is the magazine? It's included. Yeah. So,
but it might not always be included.
It may not always be included, but it's included now for our power agents. All right, Tiffany McDaniel, do you think that being a NAR member has value? Tiffany, I really think being an NAR member is awesome. NAR has done a lot, and they're totally extremely valuable. And so we've had some hiccups under the current executive officer I'm not a fan of. And there have been a lot of bad decisions that have cost our association over the past several years. And but fortunately that position is changing next year, and hopefully we'll get some really great leadership. Our elected officers that come in every year, I think they're angels. I have very little bad to say of any of the elected people that have been in our association. So, but yes, it's totally worth being a realtor.
Awesome.
Next question.
Helen says, what is the probability that 2 or more power agents will post the identical messages intermittently?
Very,
None.
very. Let's do it this way. I'll answer it this way. It's very unlikely, and I wouldn't worry about it until it happens. Let's go there. That's the same thing. Imagine, well, what happens if the same Keller Williams agents calls the same FISBO? Well, what happens if the same realtor, who's an NAR member, works with a buyer? Anyway, there's so much business out there. Don't worry about it.
And there's over 800 things in the classroom, so it's all good. Gabrielle, while sending emails to your clients, do you usually attach the newsletter as a PDF? That's a technical question. Do you want to just push that off till Thursday or no?
No, say that again. She wants to attach it as a
Should you send it as a PDF as an attachment or drop it into the email?
The newsletter, I wouldn't drop. For you to drop the newsletter into an email, you'd have to do a lot of formatting to make it look pretty and not nasty. So that'd be a lot of time. So what I would go the PDF route to answer your question.
Or add it to your site or your blog and then push people out a link.
Yeah.
Bud, why would an agent get 10% of 3%? I don't know where that came in.
Oh, I know what that is. So, Bud, I hope you're still with us. So let me use the math to explain it better. So if, let's say, I have the listing, and then I get a buyer from my open house who wants to buy the listing, and somebody doesn't feel comfortable with me representing both, right? Well, the buyer, I would want to get paid 3%, as an example, on the selling side. So let's say $500,000 accepted offer is $15,000. What I would give, when I said 10%, I would give the buyer to another agent in my office, and I'd wind up giving them $1,500 referral fee to work with my buyer, because all they're doing is clerking. Now, I don't know if 10%, that sounds too low now that I work through the math with you. So if I were getting $15,000, I probably would pay a 20 or 25% referral fee to the agent to work with that buyer. I would get the other 75%. So yeah, 10% was too low.
Excellent. How about charging by the hour to a buyer per showing, or bill pay by the hour and bill weekly, then a rebate this client at closing if the seller pays the buyer?
That's a great idea. That's another possible model that might happen in our business. Or you can do in yours. It doesn't have to be even a model. You can certainly do that. That's something that I can probably create for us as a dialogue, as a menu of services. I like it.
I like it. Let's save that. Could a seller now offer a net fee to the buyer's agent? For example, if we list the home at $515 and the seller wants $500, if someone offers $510, could the seller offer $10,000 as compensation, or would they have to stick to the $15,000 offer, the net they originally wanted? We have to read that. There's a lot of numbers.
No, I'm reading it. That is that there's an actual legal term for that, and I just don't know if it's against law or against MLS rules. So that's called a net listing. That I want this amount of money. In this example, it's 500. So anything you can get over that is for you.
Oh.
And I have to check. I don't know if that's against license law in some states, or if that was it. I know it was a rule somewhere that you can't do that. And I don't remember if that's an MLS thing or a license thing. If it's an MLS thing, I'm sorry to say, it doesn't matter. If it's a license thing, then it does matter. So I have to look into that.
Perfect.
Okay, there you go. Linda just said it. It's not allowed per New York State real estate law. And Linda, now that you just said that, because I'm a New York agent or used to be, it just now, all my memories came back. Do that. Thank you, Linda.
Excellent. Do you think it will get worse before it gets better? Meaning the budget agents and brokers will come out of the woodwork for sellers until the sellers realize they get what they pay for.
Do you think it gets worse before it gets better? Meaning the budget agents.
Discount brokerages. is
Oh,
what-
discount brokers. No, I don't know, Debbie. I think I don't think so. I think what will get worse. So I don't think what will get worse is that there'll be more discount brokers coming out of the woodwork and stuff like that. I think there might be some new business models. So I'll give you that. But I stand by what I said earlier. Is what'll get worse, Debbie, is our industry panicking. Because that's what I have a history of seeing time and time again. Whenever there was a major shakeup, the sky fell, and a lot of agents freaked out, and then eventually we figured it out. So I think it'll be fine. I think ultimately we're going to be fine. So what's important is, will it be worse for you? And if you're a power agent, it won't be worse for you, because we're not going to panic. We're going to systematically use this opportunity to get stronger at communicating to buyers and sellers our value. And that's what we're going to focus on, right? So don't you worry. Now, as far as this offer, and here's what I'm going to tell you guys, you should click now, because I don't know if we're going to keep the same offer, because this is a ridiculous. We did a special offer today. This is, again, we're building an airplane, flying it at the same time. We're trying to figure things out. So we may make a change. I'm not sure. I don't know, because I've been sitting here in front of you for 3.5 hours. I don't know I don't even know what day it is. So I would not wait. What's smart for you is $10. Don't think, just click. Don't be silly. The slides in this recording, geez, 3.5 hours. I think that's worth $10. I had somebody say to me once, you know what, Darryl? It's worth to me to be a power agent just for what you gave in this free session. Like, I feel like I owe it to you. I would be stealing from you if I didn't pay you. It's like not tipping your waitress. Tip your waitress. If you got anything out of this is a good analogy. Think of me as a waitress. If I served you well, give me the $10 to be a power agent so we can send you all this stuff.
I love it. Tip your bartenders and your waiters.
That's right. Tip your
Kind of
bartenders.
like those comedy hour, right? Where the comedians always say, "Hey, don't forget to tip your waiters and your bartenders."
Yeah, there you go. Listen, if you didn't learn a friggin' thing, but I made you laugh and have a little bit more hope and you feel good, all right, tip me on the way out. There you go. Zaida, she said, Patrick Hardy, wow, I really hope this entire session is recorded, including the Q&A. I need to watch it again. Patrick, I need to watch it again too, because I created some new stuff. I don't know what the hell I said. So I'm with you there, Patrick. Zaida Perez, I'm under the impression if we list a property, our office represents the seller. That's correct so far. How can we give referral fee to a buyer agent that works in the same office? Doesn't that agent represent the seller as well? Very good distinction, Zaida. And no. So the company broker represents the seller, but that's a deep question, Zaida. That's very good, very insightful beyond this lawsuit. So, but the answer is no. So the broker represents buyers and sellers, right? Because they're a broker. The listing agent will represent the seller. And then when a buyer comes in, they need representation, because even though each agent is working in the umbrella, you look at it this way. Zaida, here comes another metaphor for you. There is McDonald's, the franchise, and then there's the McDonald's individual stores. The individual stores get to run their business, and definitely when it comes to pricing. But the franchise still has guidelines. You have to cook the hamburgers a certain way. You have to have colors a certain way. You have uniforms. So there's still a process. So your broker is like McDonald's Corp. So there's the corporation, your broker, and then there's the individual store owners. That's all the agents that work in there. So that's how you look at it. I hope that clarified it. Great question. Ellen said, find your activator, just decide and do. Great use of analogies to get to see, hear, feel, integrate information. Thank you, Ellen. Yeah, golden, right? The metaphors and analogies. All right. We got to end this. You guys
How
got
do
to
they
go.
sign up, Darryl? How do they sign up?
How do you sign up? Click on the thing that's been there for 3.5 hours that says try to power. It just popped up again. Click on that sucker. Do the $10. Become a power agent.
Tip your bartender.
Tip your bartender, and hopefully, whatever you whatever you decide. I'm getting punchy now. I've been doing this. I got to go to take a nap after this. But listen, if there's one thing I got to tell you, I hope you guys you fell in love with your business again.
Aww.
I hope that happened today. Real estate is like, a marriage. When you get married and you make a commitment to your partner, that's not a one-time thing. That's something that we have to do each and every day. We have to recommit to our relationship. We have to generate that love, that affection. Remind ourselves why we chose this person. This person was not an accident. We chose this. And we need to do that with our relationship to our business. You being a realtor is not an accident. You chose this. Nobody forced you to do this. You said, I do. You got committed to this. And you just got to recommit to it on a daily basis and fall in love with it again. Because if you love what you do, people will sense that, they will pick up on that, and they'll want to participate with you. So, and I want to help you stay in love. All right. All right, gang. God bless you. Thank you for being here. Please stay safe, stay focused, and don't forget to keep smiling. I'll see you on the coaching call Monday. All right. Bye-bye.